across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I don't know what to call this show tonight because I feel a little bit of a fraud because obviously, ordinarily, James Whale would be here. I know that it's been an incredibly difficult period for all of us, but he's still in the hospice and we're still hoping for a miracle. I mean, I think we accept that that's an increasingly unlikely proposition, but miracles do happen occasionally. So I'd love it if you put your thoughts and prayers towards James this weekend. But I'll tell you what, he has done what he's described as his final podcast. And before we get into anything else, why don't we just have a little bit of a listen to that?
And I might probably won't be here next week, but I'm fine. I've got so many drugs in me, I can't feel a thing. What I wanted to say really was, a lot of people get very upset when someone is going to die. I'm the person who's going to die, and I'm quite relaxed about it, aren't I?
You have come to terms with it brilliantly.
You find it more difficult?
I do find it quite difficult, and the hardest bit is when people are sending you such lovely messages, you know, some voice notes and little messages saying how important you've been in their lives and everything, and it's just thank you for those messages. It's really quite moving.
Well, we end up crying quite a lot.
They make us cry, but in a good way.
Yeah, I have no pain from this voice. It just won't work.
And it's such a shame for you, because obviously your voice is your thing.
Yeah, but the sun is shining. And I'm kind of going through my life, if you like. And I'm very upset and worried about Nadine.
Oh, don't worry about me. We've been having some lovely time reminiscing about all the lovely things we've done, haven't we?
We've had a good time together, haven't we?
The best.
I love you.
I love you too. Shall we sign off on the podcast?
Thank you for being a listener. I hope it helps in some way. And who knows what's next. So I can only say au revoir.
Yes, that's very good. Au revoir, not goodbye.
Bye-bye, guys.
I don't think there's anything that I need to add to that, other than that was the voice of James Whale and his wife, Nadine. Obviously, one thing that I would just say that I think is a really, really good thing. James didn't want to go into the hospice, apparently, originally, but now he's in there. He absolutely thinks it's brilliant, because I've not spent much time in hospices, but as those of you who have done will know, they're like 5-star hotels. So they're not depressing, they're not horrible, they're not miserable. And certainly he isn't either, apart from the obvious. But look, this is normally the James Whale show. Clearly, I think after that, you can appreciate that he's not able to be here tonight. We do wish him well as ever. As I say, I'm still hoping for a miracle. I accept that that's unlikely, and I accept that most of you listening to that know it's unlikely, but nonetheless, we still wish him well. Well, look, from one legend to another, I'll tell you what, because James was unable to be here, David Starkey has decided to turn up instead, just to have a bit of a chat with us about the subjects of the week. David, how are you?
I am very well. Am I allowed to say that, bearing in mind the circumstances? Though, I mean, life and death are dreadful things, but they are what we are. And one of the great problems, I think, in our current age is that we refuse to countenance mortality, to recognise the fact that we are going to die, that we have a limited amount of time, and that it's quite a good idea to try to make good use of it. Once upon a time, death was something that was much more familiar. I mean, now we're so used to the fact that people don't die at home. They die in hospital. They die in hospices. There's a sense almost that dying is unnatural because we're now being far too serious. And heaven's sake, James, thank God, was not always serious, quite the opposite. There's that wonderful joke about Americans. They expect to die in a state of perfect health. We don't. We don't. We are mortal. Flesh is weak. It corrupts. But equally, we've got minds, we've got thoughts, and above all, as we were listening there are memories.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because this is something that I think is really, really important. You know, you're an academic. I consider myself just to be a debater and somebody who believes that talking about subjects, that coming up with ideas, that sometimes being wrong is so important for our society. And I want to say this to you, having been somebody who's looked at all the history of this country and who's now very concerned about the future of this country. I look at James Whale and I genuinely believe that people like that have made a significant contribution to our democracy, and the diminution of the ability to do that is commensurately dangerous for our democracy. How worried should we be about the fact that a James Whale may not be able to come about in, perhaps they would in my generation, but perhaps not amongst the children of this country now?
What you're really saying, I think, there, Andre, is that we've been a culture which has depended on the idea that there's a thing called debate. That means that there are at least two sides to every question, that the idea one side is absolutely virtuous and the other side is absolutely wicked is not the way you do it. It's not the way you find truth. The trouble is that we've seen this constant weaponization of so-called expertise. We saw it most terribly during COVID, when we were given this complete myth, the science says. The whole point about science is that it doesn't say. Everything is debatable. Everything is testable. Everything is as good only as the last proof. And the problem is when these things are weaponized and they're turned into quasi-religious orthodoxies. We see it with climate change. I'm not a climate scientist. And on the other hand, the notion that there is a single view of what is going on with a system as complex as the climate, that we can explain it fully, and that we can come up with a simple series of solutions which are guaranteed to bring about change, is simply mad.
Are we more divided as a society now? Mind you, I imagine you've studied the Tudors, the Stuarts, and the English Civil War. So I suppose if fundamentally it's a stupid question.
No, it's not a stupid question. The point is, in the Tudor period and in the Stuart period, and right up really to the early 18th century, we expressed our divisions by violence. We fought over things. And what is wonderful, and what is one of our very great contributions, and I think the greatest contribution of the British, the English, or whatever you want to call us, to the world, people talk about, Newton and science. They talk about John Locke and politics, and they talk about this, that, and the other. But I think it's essentially, we brought this idea of self-government by debate. And the extraordinary thing about Britain for the last 300 or 400 years is, since the Civil War, we've been able to solve our domestic problems without extreme violence. Mm-hmm. And this is something I worry about more and more, that the circumstances that bring about street fighting, that bring about worse than street fighting, that bring about, at the least, a Northern Irelandization and Ulsterization of our politics, and possibly something worse, they're seeding themselves.
Yes.
I regret this. I think it's dreadful. I think it's terrible. And what we want is, of course, exactly what you're doing, exactly what James was good at, which is the world in which people can go head to head, and they can go head to head in words, without inhibition, that they can challenge each other, that they can fight verbally, that you pit ideas against each other. That's what it's supposed to be about. Not that we parade in streets with placards and waving flags, and in the background, the people with clubs and worse.
Well, I worry about that because I was speaking to Simon Danchuk the other day, whose wife's Rwandan, and he said, look, part of cultural enrichment is the machete culture from Africa. Part of cultural enrichment is the idea of electoral fraud. Part of cultural enrichment is removing the rights of women in a democratic society. I worry that we're going backwards because of this uncontrolled immigration. And by God, these immigration figures are big.
Yes, I mean, there is that kind of extraordinary, what is it called, empathetic suicide, the suicide of empathy, that believing that, again, this weird inversion of everything that had mattered about Britain, which takes place under Tony Blair, this idea that we have this strange national identity, in which there are only two things that matters: tolerance on the one hand, diversity on the other, which means, of course, being British is simply a flag of convenience. You can put anything under it. This is a disastrous idea. And in fact, I've been doing, because I've got to deal with a rather more intellectual channel, appearing on Times Radio with the formidable Rod Liddle on what's going on in Germany. I've been looking at some of the background to this and the extraordinary shifts that took place on the whole subject of immigration in the late 1990s. I mean, you're probably familiar with the revelations of Andrew Nether, or Neither, or whatever he calls himself, who was a speechwriter to the Blair government, pointing out the extraordinary shifts round about everywhere you look. It's 1999, 2000, in which it was decided we needed more immigration, partly on economic grounds, but essentially because we wanted to reinvent our people. Yes. Because we didn't really like what we'd inherited, because Blair in Britain, Angela Merkel in Germany wanted essentially to reinvent their countries. They wanted to eliminate the notion that identity has got something to do, dare I utter the word, race, that it's actually got something to do with the fact your ancestors have been here for generation after generation, that it's actually, forgive me, obviously I'm being cursed for saying these things. Do
you know that's James Whale with a voodoo doll in his hospice. I guarantee you.
Exactly. That all of these things are wrong. They're not. They are simply not. That who you are is based partly, not wholly, on ancestry.
But I can't understand, David, why. So I believe in I mean, it's not my own theory. I mean, I've nicked it from somebody else. But this idea of concentric circles of love, and I like to use the word love because I think we overly sexualise that word. So I love my siblings more than I love my next door neighbour, and I love my friends more than I love my neighbour.
The Pope is anathema. Pope Francis anathematized you. This is the misreading of St. Augustine, and I'm afraid it's not Christian. Christianity demands everybody is your neighbour. And this is one of the great problems. I mean, we now have this sort of general, I think it's always interesting looking at what become the kind of buzzwords. We've got this funny word, Judeo-Christian, the idea that our culture rests on a form of joint religiosity between the Old and the New Testaments. You know, I'm very, very suspicious about this. We all, at the moment, we're all worrying ourselves sick about economic growth. What does Jesus say on wealth? He says, it is better, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. What should a rich man do with his wealth? He should sell all his goods and give to the poor. In other words, Christianity is a system of private, personal morality. It's not a morality that possibly applies to the state. And this is the disaster, particularly with what Labour did after 1945. It tried to incorporate charity into government. So if you look at the absurdities that we now have with welfare, it's based essentially on neo-Christian ethics. But of course, with people who don't believe in God, don't believe in sin, don't believe in the devil.
Well, in that case, in that case, I've got a question about social security then. So my whole shtick, if you like, is that if I don't look after the person next to me, then, you know, there's no point in looking after an Afghan before I look after my own brother. That's completely crazy. But let me just say this to you, and I'm just going to test out something that it crossed my mind the other day. If you look at these laws on the workhouse and all this sort of thing, which sound absolutely terrible, but I would suggest to you, I'd rather live in a workhouse than die in a field in earlier generations. But my point is this. My understanding of the way the English constructed that is that every parish would look after their own people, and if somebody moved into the parish from elsewhere, they would return to the parish of their origin if they needed some form of social security or social support. Now, to me, that means you can do a great deal more, because, as an example, imagine you fell on hard times and you were from my parish. I could say, OK, David, well, perhaps you do need some money from us, but you can also teach in the local school, or you can paint my fence, or whatever it is. That idea where individual communities can help people back into work is better than this faceless money that comes. Because as far as I'm concerned, I resent social security because I feel like it's given to a bunch of immigrants. If it was literally given to my cousin when I knew they were hard up, it would only be the same as when my parents put me through university.
Yes, and I think the real problem is that, again, we need to look at what the Victorians did. The Victorians established basic rules. Now, the way they were enforced was harsher than we would wish to do it. But the central rule was you do not use public funds to subsidise people's wages.
Right.
That seems to me to be an absolute principle. People who are in employment should not receive welfare. That's the first thing.
Yes.
The second thing is, under no circumstances should anybody on welfare receive more than the minimum. Otherwise, there is, of course, what we've constructed now is a system of welfare in which there is an overwhelming incentive not to work, because you get more from various welfare benefits than you do until well up the income scale. This is deranged. If you go back to an earlier time when we were a more homogeneous society, people knew each other. Therefore, there was a much greater sense of, is this somebody who is skiving, or isn't this somebody?
Correct.
If you create this anonymous society that is run from the centre without any form of interview or contact. I mean, the extraordinary thing is post-COVID, we give people these amazingly generous allowances like personal independence payments without any form of personal interview. This is deranged. We do something worse. We have notions like disability rights, or still worse, we accord rights to children who are supposedly in some way educationally disadvantaged, and you have things called SEND payments. Now, giving people a right, giving these sectional rights, what it essentially amounts to is very simple, Andre. It amounts to a right for them to put their hand in your pocket and my pocket.
Well, I would suggest to you, what upsets me even more is that when you're turning around, and the sheer, we're going to have to go to a break now, but the sheer immorality of this, when you turn around, imagine you agree with Jeremy Corbyn and Owen Jones, this simple idea, I am going to invite...
My imagination doesn't reach...
I am going to invite people from right around the world with no money, and then I'm going to say, rich people of Britain, you have a duty to pay for them. I'll get David Starkey's response to that in just a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is, well, it's kind of the James Whale show. You heard, obviously, from his podcast that he's incredibly unwell at the moment with terminal cancer and he's in a hospice. I don't feel it's appropriate to say it's the Andre Walker show because it isn't. I'm just filling in for him. But obviously, we're still hoping for a miracle, but that's looking increasingly unlikely. I don't want to labour the point. OK, I'm joined by Dr. David Starkey. And David, I wanted to say to you, I was talking to somebody from how do I say this inside News UK? A very well-known red top, but I won't say which one. And they were saying that they'd done some research recently about the whole idea of welfarism. And in the 1980s, you might be able to say, oh, you dirty sponger or whatever, if you're on the political right. But now the view towards welfare amongst the people watching and listening to this has changed significantly. They now effectively say, I have been nailed to the desk to pay for this. My family are receiving punitive taxes, and if I didn't claim it, they'd only give it to somebody who is absolutely undeserving from a foreign country. And so whereas people used to think it was perhaps immoral to claim, we're told that most people watching and listening to this now say, claim up to the hilt, because if I don't get it, somebody else will have their hand in my pocket for it anyway.
Well, if that's true, it is simply disastrous. But of course, what else do you expect with the catastrophe of COVID? What else do you expect when, for what was in practice, it's not quite the same as flu, but what was not actually a terribly serious case of flu? I mean, if you actually look at the death tolls from COVID, as they finally turned out, they were very little different from any bad year with flu. We decided we were going to close down the entire economy. We decided we'd not only close down the economy, we would give people this thing called furlough. That we would pay people their wages for doing absolutely, dare I say, bugger all. Now, when you've done that, is it any wonder people draw the conclusion? Is it any wonder that children draw the conclusion, having been told, though they were absolutely not at risk from the disease as we know, that they couldn't go to school, that why do they bother going to school? If you do as a state, with a kind of casual arbitrariness, which is what we did during COVID, if you decide that people don't need to work, don't need to go to school, don't need to socialize, don't need to do any of the things that you normally do to maintain a proper existence, is it any wonder that people continue? I mean, and what again I think is so astonishing, Andre, is that we walked into this with our eyes open. We now have, of course, thanks to the disgraceful behaviour of Isabella Oakeshott in actually betraying Mike Hancock, but nevertheless she performed an extraordinary act of exposure. We have that inner circle of the WhatsApps. Do you know what? There's a single person who comes out with any degree of credibility. Not Simon Case, not the Cabinet Secretary. One of the most disgraceful appointments in modern times. I mean, his were the usual cascade of silly remarks punctuated by repeated foul language. The only person who comes out with any respectability is Boris Johnson. But you know what? He didn't have the courage to stick with what he understood. He says repeatedly, what are we doing this for? And he dares to say what, of course, is again, we haven't talked about one of the most important underpinnings of what's gone so badly wrong. I've referred to a sort of parody view of Christianity, but it's the omnipresent sentimentality. Sentimentality, Jane Austen has got the Sense and Sensibility, this brilliant expose. It's false feeling. You talked about the sense of people worrying not about what's going on in their backyards, what's worrying abroad. Dickens has got this amazing term, telescopic charity, that you worry more about things in Africa, more about things in Gaza, more about things in China than you do about things in your backyard. It's so easy to do. All you do is strike attitudes. But what we did during COVID was to, in the name of nothing, in the name of false belief, in the name of pure, and again, it's really important, bearing in mind recent events, what triggered what happens, this terrible wrong. Remember, we were getting everything right until early March 2020. We had exactly the right attitude. This is, it's like flu. There's no particular need to worry about it. Maybe a vaccine will come up. Maybe it won't. The best thing that happens is everybody gets a mild dose of it and the whole problem will be sorted out. What went wrong? What went wrong was three things. And the first is, really interesting, France.
Yes.
It's Macron intervening and threatening unless we imitated what continental Europe was doing, which was typical gross overreaction, the lockdown, the hospitalizations, the use of the whole silly business of ICUs, of effectively iron lungs and whatever. He would close the frontier. And then, of course, there were stupid false statistics from the terrible Neil Ferguson of Imperial College, a man who'd lied, I'm going to use the word lie, had lied, had produced absolute nonsense about BSE and the bovine spongiform encephalitis and its alleged risk of spreading to human beings. Similarly, absurd nonsense about foot and mouth. Been wrong on that. Nevertheless, he's taken seriously. And then finally, it are the scenes in the NHS in one of the northwestern hospitals, which were linked to the Daily Mail and were used effectively to blackmail the government into this process. The whole thing is a disgrace. I mean, it's.
But what about this? That a theory that I've got, which once again, I mean, I don't know if it's right, but what I saw was what I describe as an auction of piety, which is when the British government wanted to shut down the schools, then the Welsh government wanted to shut down the schools,
and Keir Starmer wanted to shut down everything.
Yes.
This is the problem. Rather than our government working as it's supposed to work, with an opposition saying wrong, you had an opposition saying not enough. You had the BBC saying not enough. You lined up all of these pseudo experts saying more, more, more. And what I think, Andre, is the most revealing thing is, and what I think is I mean, there were so many lessons we should draw from COVID, by the way, none of which the inquiry into COVID is going to draw.
To go to the inquiry, you have to have a COVID test. That's all you need to know.
I mean, it's completely mad. It's completely deranged, and it began with the principle nobody should have died of COVID. Completely stupid. But if we're actually to draw the proper lessons from COVID, we've actually got to go back and we've got to think of first principles. We've got to think, how were we ruled during that insane summer of 2020? We were ruled by a single expert committee. We were ruled by this thing called SAGE, the wise, a kind of an acronym for the wise man. In other words, we were ruled as Plato wanted us to be ruled, by a committee of single issue experts. And what did we discover? We discovered it's absolutely the worst way of ruling anybody. And the problem is, of course, Andre, that we are now half governed by that. We've got 444 other sages, 1/3 of public expenditure, something like 400 to 500 billion pounds a year is completely uncontrollable.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Why not I pull you up there? Sorry.
Just 1 second. So we've got that, and the rest. The government has been taken away from that process we were talking about. That process of debate, that process of challenge, that ability of us to vote them out. Because one half is a so-called expert, and the other half is another kind of expert. It's the lawyer. And of course, we have Keir Starmer in charge of all of this lot. As, to put it very simply, to parody Abraham Lincoln, it's the government of the blob, by the blob, for the blob.
OK, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go once again to a break, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask a simple question, David Starkey, which I think is going to warrant quite a complicated answer. And the question is...
I may have given a simple one. Yes.
Who rules this country? Because I think that's central to everything we've been debating on this channel and this show for a long time. David Starkey's going to be back in a second. He's going to answer that simple question.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. This would ordinarily be the James Wales Show, but as you know, he has terminal cancer and is in the hospice at the moment. But we've got myself and David Starkey, and Danielle Nichols is coming in the next hour. We're going to host a phone-in, so please get your calls in 0344 499 1000. But the question that I think is bothering me and bothering a lot of the viewers and listeners is who rules this country? Now, I'm not going to bother going through the nuances of all this because we've got David Starkey here to answer that question. Who does rule this country?
Well, not Keir Starmer.
Yes.
Not Parliament. I mean, what's interesting is Starmer admitted this. He said some time ago when he was actually asked Westminster or Davos, he said Davos. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go with the whole, WEF myth and whatever. But what I think is clear is from Tony Blair onwards, from 1997 onwards, we had a slow burn revolution in this country. We've got to understand it. And the purpose of that revolution was to make sure that anybody who actually answers to the electorate doesn't actually exercise real power. Real power is now held, as I was saying just before the break, by two groups of people. It's held by specialist committees on the one hand, things like the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of England. And of course, when you put it like that, that sounds quite a good idea. Don't you need expert economists, market experts, and so on? But if you actually look at the Bank of England's management of the currency, management of interest rates for the last 20 years, it's an absolute catastrophe. Again, the idea that you want experts handling climate change. Well, the problem is, of course, they've all got their hands in the till. Let's be completely blunt about this. Climate change has become this gigantic taxpayer-funded fountain of money for people who benefit from it, people who endorse it. Similarly, the whole nonsense of English nature. These are the people who demand, when you're trying to build a railway, that you construct a back tunnel for £100 million, that you actually spend even more on protecting fish if you're trying to build a nuclear reactor. It's completely demented. As I said, it is 400 to 500 £500 billion a year. Is in a sum almost impossible to commute. I mean, compute. If you actually sort of put that into years, that goes back practically beyond the existence of the solar system. These are vast, vast, vast sums which we throw away like confetti. And then the other thing is this extraordinary way in which we've enfranchised lawyers, in which we give lawyers direct power over us. And it's the great problem that things like the Human Rights Act. Human rights sound lovely. They are not. Human rights, by definition, mean that the British Parliament doesn't make our laws. They actually deny the existence of a national interest. They say that it's wrong to put Britain first. Human rights actually, by definition, legislate two-tier justice, because human rights, whatever they began as, I think they began reasonably as an attempt at protecting the individual against the overweening power of the state. But instead, from the 1990s onwards, they're perverted to protecting minorities at the expense of the majority. And they're minorities like the mad. Literally, the mad are now protected. But what I'd like to say is, as we go down this terrible path, this primrose path to hell, one country is showing us that you can do the reverse. It's America.
Yes.
It's Trump. What we've got to do, just look at the incidents that we actually saw last week at the Turnberry golf course. Have you ever seen anything like it? Trump on British soil receiving not only Keir Starmer, but the president of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, like prostrate supplicants. He's at the top of the steps. They are crawling up. They're kissing. They're no longer wearing a robe, but you presumably kiss the end of his tie or something even lower down. And prostrating themselves before him. Can you imagine the sheer lack of imagination of, Keir Starmer is surrounded by people who, remember, they're all people like McSweeney and whatever. They are Morgan McSweeney. They're all the direct inheritors of that awful lying shit, Alistair Campbell.
Yes.
And they believe in comms. They believe in optics.
Well, can I tell you something?
How could they not have thought of what it looks like of a British Prime Minister as a suppliant on his own soil? Can you imagine? The obvious model they should have used was the field of cloth of gold between Henry VIII and Francis I. You don't let Trump receive you in his own house. You have a large pavilion outside. And by the way, you say, well, I actually don't play golf. I play soccer. Come on, I'm going to beat you at football. But you see the complete lack of imagination.
But here's what. Let me tell you my little bit of this, because you and I have talked about reform of Parliament, or rather return to Parliament being what it should be. And part of that for me was my experience, because I worked in the House of Commons and was incredibly proud to do so. And obviously my parents were absolutely delighted coming out of university and working there, having, the pass that gets you around the Royal Palace and all this. I can honestly assure you that nothing I did at all was the job for which I was paid to do. The job I was paid to do as a parliamentary assistant was to look at legislation and decide which way, to assist my member of parliament in the way he would vote, in the way he might want to amend legislation. What we did was we made quite nice speeches supporting the government, whether that be on legislation days speaking in favour of David Cameron's government, or when the opposition had debates saying how awful they were. We came up with some quite nice questions to ministers, and if anybody had a problem in the constituency, we became very adept at bullying government in departments into helping them. But reading legislation, I didn't read a word of it. My member of parliament didn't read a word of it. And what was amazing was that now I know that the House of Lords is completely dominated by government appointments, and now I know that to become a Conservative or Labour Member of Parliament, or Lib Dem Member of Parliament, or SNP Member of Parliament for that matter, you have to be just basically personally selected by the leader of that party. You come very far from democracy, because these people, A, have all been selected by David Cameron, and B, have no time with their social work to do anything other than just venerate him. I feel very, very, very concerned about it.
Yes, but you see, I think in one sense, the answer is more monarchy rather than less. If you look across the Atlantic, if you look at what Trump has done, Trump in his first 100 days, we should talk about it as 100 days, the 100 days of Napoleon. Trump has done more than any American president has done since Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933. He's actually done what he promised he would do. He said he would stop immigrants. And you know what? Immigrants stopped. Starmer said he would stop immigrants, and what have they done? The numbers crossing the channel is, I would reckon, roughly on track to double this year. The complete defiance. And what you're seeing in America is something new. You're seeing, for the first time, I think, since the age of Margaret Thatcher, you're seeing somebody who is confidently handling power, an individual who's making a difference. Now, this is something absolutely fundamental. We've not seen for such a long period of time. We're used, in fact, to people like Keir Starmer who merely play at being in power. That phrase of Norman Lamont, that you're in office but you're not in power. You're in government but you're not in power. We're so used to this. Suddenly in Trump, there is somebody who's actually grasped the machinery of power, who's picked it up by the scruff of the neck.
But it took him his second attempt to do that, to be fair.
Second attempt. And so it's important we look at what is the difference between Trump 1 and Trump 2. Trump 2 is what there will have to be if there's ever to be a serious government in this country again. One that's prepared. One that it knows what Trump knew, he knew what he had to undo.
Correct.
Remember that extraordinary moment. He's inaugurated, because it's very cold in DC, it doesn't take place outside, it takes place in the rotunda of the Capitol. It's then a very, very short drive to the White House, and he, within less than half an hour of being inaugurated, sworn in as president, he's in the Oval Office. He sits down at that desk. You've got all the press in front of him. And then you've got Stephen Miller, the man who's been working in the background with this great pile of executive orders, and you've got a great pile of pens. You've got a great pile of Sharpies. Then this extraordinary signature, this quasi-royal signature goes on. It's held up. You point out what the heading says, what it's going to do. The pen is thrown into the audience. The TV cameras focus on it. And you know what happens, Andre? Something happens. Things change.
Yes.
Things are done. And what else is extraordinary about Trump? Trump, like Thatcher, breaks the rules. If you remember, when Geoffrey Howe, in his first budget under Margaret Thatcher, jacks up interest rates to try to quell inflation, which is running in the high teens, as it had been right throughout the 1970s, 365 economists say it can't be done. It will be disastrous. It will be a catastrophe. All the experts say no. All the experts said Trump couldn't do tariffs. Suddenly you have everybody queuing up. Trump is reconstructing the terms of trade. Tariffs is only a machine. It's only a trick to do it. But Trump is doing what everybody said was impossible. He is making world trade obey what he wants. But the most important thing about Trump is he's confident about the fact he's got one single duty, which is to answer to America. That he doesn't have a duty to benefit the world. He doesn't have a duty to improve global welfare. And this has been the problem in Britain, that when we lost the empire, we decided that having governed the world, it was now our duty to set a good example to the world. And you know what? We've been taken for fools. We've been taken for fools in the Chagos. We've been taken for fools in our negotiations with Europe. We've been taken for fools by everybody. America was under Biden. Trump has stopped it. That's what we need.
Okay, we're going to go to a break now. We're going to have one more segment with David Starkey, but I'll tell you one thing that I want you all to hang around for, because I'm going to ask him next what he thinks about the fact that British white people are going to be a minority in their own country by 2063. That's coming up right now.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, okay, this is Talk. I've just realised I'd moved slightly in order to prepare for Danielle Nichols sitting next to me and realised she wasn't coming in for another couple of minutes. David Starkey is with me. I'm just going to read this to you. Minority Reports, white British people will be a minority by 2063. White British people will become a minority in the UK population within the next 40 years, a report has said. An analysis of migration, birth and death rates up to the end of the 21st century predicts that white people will decline in their current position as 73% of the population, which I imagine when you were born is down from what, 99, 98, but okay, to a population of 57% by 2050 before slipping into a minority in 2063. What is amazing about this, David, you're older than me, but in both of our lifetimes, and actually in the lifetimes of people considerably younger than me as well, Britain has gone from being a British country to being really this sort of soup of the world, if you like.
Yes, it has. Again, I think we've got to look at, dare one say, the good side as well as the bad side. In many ways, it's been done with, compared with many other countries, very little stress. This is because, Andre, again, we've got to be quite clear about it. We are not a single nation. We never have been. There's no such thing as the British nation. The British state is this confection, it's this coming together with the Act of Union of 1707 of the two historic kingdoms of England and Scotland. The first football internationals are between England and Scotland. From the 18th century onwards, the royal family, when it would create a new prince, he'd give him a Scottish title, an English title, then an Irish title, then a Welsh title. So we never had any attempt with union to create a single, as it were, national identity. There was, there's the language of North Britain, in other words, a fancy name for Scotland, which I don't know whether you remember the importance of being earnest. I remember it well because I played John Worthington, and John Worthington, one of his 3 addresses was the Sporran Faifshire North Britain, but all of that was just gesture. We never had a single system of education. We never inculcated a separate system, a single system of values. There was never any attempt at using public education to enforce a single identity. So that meant there was always a kind of floating notion of being essentially British abroad, but English and Scots at home. So what Labour did when it came in 1997 was deliberately to exploit this idea. And it's very interesting how they did it. Up to that point, really, your identity as being a citizen of this country wasn't really you a citizen, you're a subject. You're a subject of the crown. And then what they do is they invent this thing called British identity, and they say the only British values are tolerance and diversity, which effectively turns belonging here into a simple flag of convenience. In fact, in the old Britain, the Britain before 1997, not only were we pretty homogenous in terms of all being the common stock of this island, there was, however different you were in Scotland or Wales or whatever, you acknowledged the primacy of the Westminster Parliament and the politics that depended on that. Politics of debate, of parties, of a two-party system, of a sense of rights that didn't need to be spelled out because they were simply taken for granted, that went back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And then under Blair, all that's changed. And the thing that's so frightening, what we now know, what was admitted by Andrew Nether, who was one of the key figures in the speechwriting of the Blair years, they decided to do something completely extraordinary. They decided to reinvent Britain. They decided to make us a new country. I talked about the reinvention of the British Constitution, the deliberate hiving away of power from anything that was democratic or democratically answerable. They decided to do something else. They decided to change the people. And there's that extraordinary incident in the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, in 1953, when there had been a revolt against the communist regime, and the communist government of Walter Ulbricht proclaims how disappointed it was in the people, and the kind of Ian Hislop of East Germany, the licensed comic Bertolt Brecht, the approved fool, comes up with this wonderful idea. Well, isn't it terribly sorry that we've let down our rulers? Isn't the obvious solution that you dissolve the people and elect another one? And you know what? That's what Blair did. He dissolved the British people and he decided to elect another one. And we're now in this world of nobody quite knowing who they are or what they are.
But let me ask you this question.
Bizarre things like debating, is Rishi Sunak English, for God's sake?
I mean, let me ask you this. Here's the bit I don't understand. If I go to South Africa now and live in a white-only community, I'm a colonial settler. If I move from Pakistan to Burnley, I'm striking a success for multiculturalism. I don't understand. One thing we've learnt in human history, David, it's better to discover than be discovered, right? That has been almost universally true. What is happening now, other than the colonisation?
We've simply inverted values. In other words, what we have now, in the name of anti-racism, in the name of hacking down white supremacy, we've simply inverted apartheid. We've simply turned the pyramid upside down. It's exactly like Animal Farm. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Once it was white good, black bad. Now it's black and brown and yellow and whatever good, white bad. It's as simple as that. It's as crude as that. And the thing that's so terrifying about this country, this is what Robert Jenrick and others, Rupert Lowe and whatever have been talking about, this two-tier is actually embedded in law.
Yes.
That the Human Rights Act, that the Equality Act have been perverted to prefer the minority against.
But I got told when there was a fairly minor dispute in the Middle East, I got told that my Remembrance Sunday needed to be cancelled because there were issues for Muslim migrants that was more important in Gaza than the history of the United Kingdom. And look, the MOD police said the most important thing to do was to take down the flags from the cenotaph because it might offend people. That is the standard now that we live in.
It is deranged. But again, what we have to do, I go back to Trump. Trump said this is rubbish. MAGA said it's rubbish. We have to have a clear understanding, and it's not discriminatory, it's not wicked, it's not nasty. Britain is primarily for the British. I mean, what else can it be? What is the point of a nation otherwise? We owe no obligations beyond that. We don't owe an obligation to, as it were, redeem the past because we actually produced the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution is why everybody enjoys everything that we now have, from decent healthcare to what we're looking at now to the internet and so on. The idea that we owe reparations for slavery is an absurdity. We abolish it. And we've got to recover this confidence. Andre, the most important thing, I've been listening, I must be the only person who does, to the things that come up on air between the various segments of the program. The one thing they're all really about is courage. The one virtue we've lost, the thing that is so catastrophic about people like Starmer, they are cowards. They are duplicitous. They constantly change their mind. We've got to have, once again, political leaders like Thatcher, like Churchill, not always, but in his better moments, who've got that confidence, who've got that courage, who they know that they have a duty to their own people, first, second, last, and nothing else.
OK, well, that is Dr. David Starkey. David, what a tour de force. And I think, actually, James Whale, who may well be listening in his hospice, would be absolutely phenomenally proud of that. Thank you so much. Look, I just wanted to encourage you all to call in, because we are going to go through the papers just in a couple of minutes with Danielle Nichols. But before then, we've got to get your calls in. At the moment, I've got 3 slots available. 0344 499 1000. Just to say to you, we've got loads and loads of phone lines into the studio. If you phone in, we put you down and then we're able to get you. But by the way, I wanted to say this. I think it was important to have David on an important night like this because of the effective retirement now of James Whale. As I say, still hoping for a miracle, but that's becoming increasingly unlikely. But what do you think now? White people, white British people in a minority by 2063. You know, we are having our democracy pulled to pieces. We are now living in a country. I said this last night, that my producer went to France and he came back going, oh my God, stuff works in France. And it's only when you go abroad that you realise how hard it is to live in Britain now. Taxes have gone up exponentially. You've got this situation whereby immigration is out of control. Your children or grandchildren, nieces and nephews are being racially discriminated against on the grounds they're white. There is a construction of a new apartheid, not as bad as South Africa, but we've got time. All of those things, I think, need to be a concern. You can phone me, 0344 499 1000. We've got Danielle Nichols in to join us just in a couple of moments, and we'll be up. They're cheering. Back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. This is Talk TV. I'm Danielle. This is Andre. Feels weird saying it again. You're letting me do the intro.
Yeah, we are, because Asher's away. I just want you to know. No. Right, the official ratings came out this week. No, we had gone up. Right, but I'm really worried that people will go, well, those radar ratings came out and Asher was gone. But no, it's all good. We thought we'd bring in Danielle as well. And also, partly we brought you in because we thought we'd cheer up James Whale, who is in the hospice. We don't know if he's watching or listening, but if he is, we're going to give him a big wave.
Hi. Bye.
The number to call is 0344 499 1000. Right, we're meant to go through the papers in this bit. Are we going to do that?
Is this the
or
papers
just,
bit?
now you're here, we'll just make
We
it.
should just find things to talk about.
Okay, here we go. Staggering scale of the... no, actually, we can't do this one. Do you know why? Front page of The Guardian, there's a staggering state of NHS waiting lists. The problem is, if we do NHS waiting lists on this show, what happens is everyone phones up and goes, my granny had a bad tour.
Well, I'm not going to lie. You're going to be subject to a podcast on the way home.
Am I?
Because Andre...
She's going home with me.
Coming home with me.
She is.
I'm driving him home.
Yeah, that's right.
Happening.
I'll be sitting in the back, obviously.
You'll be staying... You won't be sitting in the back.
Sitting in the back.
No.
Drive on.
And I've got a podcast that's James English, who I like listening to, and it's about a whistleblower from the NHS.
Oh, really?
You'll like it. We're
Really?
going to enjoy it. It's
I
2
can't
hours.
whistle. Okay, so...
To be fair, it really touched a chord with me because it was all about midwifery and home birthing, and you know what I'm like when I get on that soapbox.
Also on the front page of The Guardian, David Lammy, J.D. Vance completely relates to me. I mean, that is just rubbish, isn't it? David Lammy. What is he doing? Poor old David. Poor old David. Okay, so...
Why have we skipped that one? Are you going back to that one?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to put it in that order then?
No,
Doesn't
go
bother
on
me.
then. I like the look of that
No,
one.
we can't do that one because it's Prince Andrew. We're not taking calls on Prince Andrew because we've got that dump button there. So if you say anything bad, we can get rid of it. We end up having to press it every 2 minutes, don't we?
World exclusive. Prince Andrew, his royal offishness.
Oafishness. Sex-obsessed, vulgar, ignorant, entitled and breathtakingly rude. Starting today, it's his biography.
The most devastating royal biography ever written by an acclaimed historian.
Can you imagine?
I bet he's having a great night tonight knowing that comes out tomorrow.
Sex-obsessed, vulgar, ignorant, entitled and breathtakingly rude. That's his new book about Prince Andrew. My God.
That's a worry. But there is also a serious thing there. Anne's kidnapped gunman free. The dangerous loner who tried to kidnap Princess Anne is back on the streets, unrepentant and still obsessed. Ian Ball stalked the princess one evening in March 1974. I remember my mum telling me about this.
Is this the bloke with the gun?
Yeah, ambushing her and shooting 4 men who came to her aid. Yeah, this was a while... 1974.
He's a genuine nutter.
Well, clearly, yeah, but he's done his time and now he's... Great.
Now he's. I mean, look. No, but hang on a second. You were going to go. He's done his time, and now he's. And you were meant to say reformed character, and it says still obsessed.
Fixated.
Still obsessed.
So I think he's going to be very closely monitored. Is what's going to happen there.
Now listen. Here's the thing that I don't care about. You know this car finance story.
Yes.
Right. So
but can we just say why? He doesn't drive and doesn't have a car.
No.
Okay.
But well, I will say one thing. Maybe I'm being a hypocrite because I do care about estate agents. You know these companies like Good Lord.
Yeah.
Right. So I've said this before. So when you go, if you or your kids are gonna hire a flat or a house, what they do is companies like say Romans. No. Anyway, or Savills. Anyway. But what they all do is they pay for these companies to vet the tenants.
Okay.
What they don't tell you is that the vetting companies work for insurance brokerages.
Oh,
right.
I didn't know.
So what they do is they go to you as a landlord and they go, right, Danielle, you're renting out this house. Don't worry, we'll do the vetting on your people. We'll also sort you out your insurance. So what they do is they vet the people and they're able to sell you a crummy insurance policy for a high price because they've done the vetting and you've paid them to do it.
I didn't know that. Well, what's that got to do with, just out of curiosity,
because the estate...
what's that got to do with the front page that says car finance?
Because the estate...
Just tell me how that happened.
Because the estate agents have an undeclared interest and the car retailers have an undeclared interest as well in a financial services product. By the way, look at those two old fellas on the front. Who are they?
This is interesting, isn't it? Katie and Kerry.
Oh, it's Kerry Katona and Katie.
They've kind of teamed up. I read a tiny little bit about this before I came into studio, and it was right up my street, but I was very aware that I was... maybe it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I find this car crash very interesting.
Hang on, Kerry Katona and Katie Price, what do they know about men, money and drugs? You seem very tired, Kerry. You seem very tired. Very tired indeed. But sorry.
They're both promoting some cannabis.
Also,
thing or something at the moment.
when you've got Kerry Katona and Katie Price on the front page, is the car crusher thing relevant?
I know.
Or was that just about the finance?
I think it's ironic that the car crash and
yeah, it all
you can
comes
see
in.
what they've done there, can't you? Why they've put them together
Now,
like
I do
that.
think this is right. So I do think on the front page of the Mirror it's right that we should say that it's time for Prince Andrew to testify in public. I think he should go to any hearing, right? Because if he's completely innocent, then he'll prove himself to be innocent.
Well, yeah, he's been urged to reveal all that he knows about pervert Jeffrey Epstein under oath. US lawyer Gloria, who represents victims of the late tycoon, said the Duke must appear before Congress. I agree, he should have to. He can volunteer to testify.
The thing is, right, so he has a perfect right to defend himself in whatever way he wants to, and I don't know enough about the story. Genuinely, I don't, and everybody thinks they do. But let's
though, in fairness
it's
to
unworthy
Andrew,
to not go over and deal with it.
No, exactly. But in fairness to him, he's putting it, doesn't he?
Do you know what I got
Well, he
told?
does
Do you know what I
talk.
got told? I got told by people who worked at Windsor Castle that they said, quote unquote, he's the unpredictable one.
Yes.
Right, so basically they said, when he turns up, you don't know what he's going to be
You're
like,
thinking,
perfectly polite or horrendously rude.
Well, yeah, the previous front page spoke so highly of him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Unbelievable. OK, what have we got on the front page of Daily Express then?
This is the one that I was excited about, only because it's just, well, we're English, we're British, and all we do is talk about the weather. Britain will be struck by winds of up to 85 miles per hour in the north and 45 miles per hour in the south. Of course,
Why
right?
is that
There's
funny?
two things that happen because in this country, whenever it is the school holidays, the weather is always rubbish, and everybody knows that. As soon as that bell rings and goes, 6-week holidays, you've got them for 6 weeks. It's literally like the black cloud. Any mums out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the black clouds come over like Calamity Jane.
It's more like the...
All my little boy wants to do is ride his bike, and it's always peeing down.
It's like the black caps come out. That's the problem. Mind
And
you,
for
listen,
once, I'm not going on holiday, Chuck.
Danielle, I've got a perfect holiday for you. We discussed yesterday. What about this? What they used to do in the East End before foreign holidays.
Okay.
They used to go hop picking with Mum to Kent. So what you did is, whilst Dad kept doing the job, you and your mum
It's
and
funny
Gran
you should
and
say
went
that.
hop picking.
Because my plan is a week in Hull.
A week in Hull. What?
I was going to have a week in Hull, and then I was going to have maybe a couple of weeks down in Broadstairs. Chuck, if you want me on the show, it's only an hour 15,
Sorry.
that drive.
So just to be clear, you're going on holiday to Hull.
Yes,
Why?
because my husband works there.
Oh, OK.
So we're just going to have a nice little week in a hotel. And
You're going for
try
a
and
week
make
in a
it.
hotel in Hull. Oh, nothing says romance. It'll be like the Linton Travel Tavern off Alan Partridge, won't it?
Do you know where we went yesterday? In fact, public service announcement, and this, I'm deadly serious about this.
You're not.
I am.
OK.
Yesterday, I went to IKEA.
Well,
right?
that's brilliant. Thanks for that. And that completes the Daniel. Right, come on.
No, and I do want to say this for anybody who is struggling right now. I honestly want to say this. We had 4 main meals, we had 3 drinks, and we had 1 dessert. We had 1 cake to share. Not because we were being tight, more because we were trying to not be greedy. Less than 20 quid on IKEA Family. £17.98, and I'm not getting sponsored by IKEA. I'm genuinely, I couldn't care less. My point being, if you want to just go out and it's nice for the kids and they can look around, all right, don't make fun of me. They can look around the showroom, can't they? They can sit on the little sofas and pretend
Is
they
this
live in
the
the
one
little
that tried?
houses. No, kids love this.
All right.
I'm just saying, it's a great little afternoon filler, and that is not. And all you got to do is give them all your details. No, all you got to do is sign up to the IKEA family card thing, but it's a massive discount.
What I would do,
Highly recommend.
What I would do if I
just
were
give
you,
them your email.
what I
Give
would
them one
do-
of the emails where you don't care how much they spam you.
Whenever I look after my niece and nephew during the summer holidays, I always take them to see the animals. at the abattoir. It's, they have a lovely time. The Squealing Pig Tavern. Uncle Andre, we don't want to see the animals again.
We went for a walk the other day, and my little boy's 7, and he's just kind of like figured it out, and he kind of said something about a bird. There's a dead bird on the floor. You know what it's like. Kids are obsessed, aren't they? Ooh, what's that? Don't go anywhere near it. Anyway, he said, someone we were with said, the animals might try and eat it. And he said, you don't eat birds. And she went, you eat chicken and duck. And you should have seen his face, because that's the first time he actually went, I eat birds.
He looked back and he said, we haven't had duck, don't be ridiculous. We can't afford that. Can't afford that. Mum does chicken nuggets, and I guarantee you, if you're buying from certain supermarkets, there's no chicken in them. Talking of certain supermarkets, I came down here going via Warrington Bank Quay, the train station, and normally I stop at Aldi on the way, because I make my own dinner on the train.
Right, Aldi.
I'm like Jeremy Corbyn.
Another public service announcement. Apparently,
I'm not going on all day to Aldi. I mean, IKEA's bad enough, right? Whole IKEA, Aldi.
Aldi's good. And apparently, the spring water, the mineral water that you buy in Aldi, is really good. Mineral water. There you go. Don't be buying any Evian. You don't need it. Just get Aldi's.
The spring water.
I'm here for all your discounts.
The spring water that they're talking about is actually the tap.
It's not.
Right, it is.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Peckham Spring.
Some of them are recycled tap water. This specifically.
Do you ever remember what happened to Coca-Cola with Disani? When they did what Del Boy Trotter did.
Yes.
That not only did they bottle stuff from the tap, but they accidentally put some poison in it as well.
I remember that.
Okay,
I do remember.
We're being told that we've got to go to the phones, so, no, we should go to break and then go to the phones. No, we'll start with the phones, but Yasmin, the teenage witch, is here. Come on, Yasmin, well done.
You know what, now my mum calls her Yasmin the teenage witch, so that's stuck now. She goes, I like it when that Yasmin comes the teenage witch. She's not the teenage witch, Mum.
Right, come on, Yasmin, how are you? Oh.
No,
Hi, darling.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I've got a quick message for you, Danielle. You mentioned about your husband working in Hull.
Yes.
He's going back to the Middle East. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you.
I hope so, because me tan.
What, in Hull?
Spirit has told me that he's going right back to the Middle East, and they're showing a big ship. It's fast.
A big what?
Ship.
Oh, I see. See. Well, some of the food out there's a bit dodgy, isn't it? So I was just thinking.
I'll tell you what, you've got to watch. He's got to watch his messages. It's really quick. There's a 26 around it, which is an 8, which is money coming in.
We live at a number 8 house.
Yeah, she lives at number 8 Smith Street.
Danielle, do you know the other thing I got told before I came online? Because what you don't realise is, when I come on and get in touch with you, I've got my cards, my crystal ball, my spirit energy around me.
Yep.
Everything ready for you. Right. This is a ship. It's really significant. You're going to go to a port that not Hull energy, and you're going to see an old ship like the Cutty Sark as well.
All right. You took me to it.
Cutty Sark's from. Oh, no, it's at Greenwich, isn't it?
The Mayflower, something
Indeed.
like that.
The Mayflower. Okay.
The other thing is around you. I know this sounds crazy, but this is what I'm seeing. You're going to see a message in a cloud. So when you're looking up at the sky, you'll see...
Well, that'll be downloading from Apple, won't it?
It'll literally be a harp and a dog, an animal that you used to have, but it'll be in the shape of a cloud.
My little Jack Russell.
Yeah, tiny baby. And the other thing I've got as well for you is... if you break something in your house, get rid of it immediately, because that's you breaking a curse sent to you.
Oh.
That's the Romany.
At the moment, a lot of stuff got broke.
Summer holidays, I mean...
My tuna sweet corn mayonnaise tub got smashed the other day. I was very upset about that. When you make tuna sweet corn mayo and you've got it in the fridge ready to go, one of the kids smashed it.
Yeah, but that's good, because you're breaking a curse. It's getting out your house.
It is. I mean, tuna's a tuna nowadays.
I'm not going to tell me.
A special event, an old... I mean, to me, it looks like Buckingham Palace again, but there's an event going on, and it's in gardens, and you're going to go, you're going to be the princess. Oh, have you been thinking of getting a little doggy?
No.
Because,
no.
No, it's Dean, her husband, who's got the dog.
Can't tell you how much of a no that is.
Let me tell you, there's I'm telling you, there's a dog coming into your life.
Oh,
Right, well, that'll have to be the dead one.
And the
Because
other
I'm not.
thing is,
I am not having another dog.
you're going to have somebody who wants to... It's strange, this. I've got this guy here, he's a Prince Charming, and he's going to marry a woman, so there's a wedding coming up in the family, or very close friends. I also feel somebody's got to watch for their ankle or the foot. They've been having problems. They've got to sort it. The other thing is you are at a crossroads right now. By the 31st of August, you'll be at a crossroads.
You've got gammy feet.
And that is going to be really, really significant. Have you got a special anniversary coming up, like a wedding anniversary that's very...
Every year she has one, yeah. It's amazing, really.
No, this is special. There's something about a ring. You're going to be given a ring. Watch for the 17th of August. There's a snake around you.
Yeah, there's a snake in the ring. That's what'll happen.
There's somebody saying something, but they're talking out both sides of the mouth. The other thing is around...
Well, we've all seen that. I mean, less so now with these new rules. But
are you waking up at weird times, like 3 in the morning or anything? Right. That when you wake up at 3 in the morning, it's a magical time for a witch, and that's when you.
It's usually because I need a wee.
Yeah, but that's when you should do a journal, write whatever thoughts or dreams come into your head, and write them down.
I am having very odd dreams at the moment. They're not very nice, so I don't want to.
No, let me explain.
They're scary.
Let me explain. You know when you said about your auntie went down the cellar and then she became a wolf? The wolf is your familiar animal and it's protecting you. The basement is the subconscious.
Yeah.
Your auntie is a female guardian who's showing you your subconscious, and that's what's coming out in your dreams.
Okay.
Right.
And the other thing is, when you dream certain things, don't worry about it. It's very practical. I do dream interpretation as well.
Right.
The other thing as well around you is you definitely need to get the Egyptian eyes again, because it's come up. Oh,
I've got one on.
Here.
I've got one on, look.
Here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got that the other
It's
day.
like the thing from Big Brother.
Yeah, it's the evil eye.
Within 7 days, there's some kind of decision going to be made around your career, and that's important.
No, that might be. She might be right there.
A tall man connected to it. Oh, wow, 27, the key's coming in, the 27th, a new key is... The other thing is this.
Write that down, 27.
You're going to be given lots of offers, right?
Oh, good.
She does. You want to read the mail? It's disgusting. It's absolutely sickening. The offers, send your knickers, take this photo. Can you sign this? That was on a zoom lens camera. We're not doing that. Get a restraining order.
Right, 27th, I'm going to get offers.
Oh, she's got offers. There's bags full of them, trust me.
You've got the key. Listen, the key. That's key to a door.
At the moment, everything is super stagnant for me at the moment.
Oh,
but
no.
I think sometimes that happens
not
before
on the
everything
spirit.
changes.
Darling, not on the spiritual. I've seen the Egyptian eye again for you. Let me explain something really, really simple. When you think what your life is like a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
It goes quiet up to the top and then whoosh,
Definitely that.
everything starts working.
Right.
In your favour. Oh, you've got
But it's
nice
Mercury retrograde, Andre. Do you know that?
What's that? Honestly, can I tell you what I'm doing?
It means when bad stuff happens.
Chicken Cottage have started doing piri rice. So I'm thinking of ordering it. Sorry, go on.
All Andre cares about is Uranus.
I know. What's going to happen? What's going to happen with Andre? Yasmin.
Oh. Right, okay. Let's have a look.
Oh, don't. That's funny.
Yeah, get in.
Do you know what I think? We're going to... just give us a minute, Yasmin. We're going to take a quick break because I think... speaks volumes.
Also, there's a local. No, be quiet for a second. There's a local place called Chicken Cottage which has started selling piri chicken with spicy rice.
You can't beat a chicken cottage.
Should we order some?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
No.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to Talk TV. I'm Danielle. This is Andre.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Andre's trying to order
chicken cottage
food currently. We've had a message here, and I'm not going to lie, it's riled me up a tiny little bit. However, this is what this show's all about. You're allowed to have your say. That's all good stuff. It says, Talk, you can't think that almost 20 quid for what sounds like a light lunch wasn't. It was 4 main courses. In IKEA is a serious recommendation. Bacon and sausage sandwiches for 4 people would be less than a £5, absolutely, and a visit to IKEA would be free. Please get in touch with cash-strapped families. Andrea from Coventry. Now, Andrea from Coventry, I'm not saying it was a free day out. What I said was, I didn't have to cook. I make a chicken pasta and I make my pasta from scratch. It costs me less from scratch. Yes, I hear you, Dad. I'm not going to lie, the pasta machine costs 25 quid, so if we had to factor that in, but I think that's an investment. However, I make that for like a couple of quid and it does us all. Chicken tomato pasta, absolutely gorgeous. And by the way, a massive thing, everyone should be making their own pasta. It's gorgeous, it's light, it's tasty, it doesn't make you feel bloated, and it's dead easy, and the kids love doing it. Okay, so if we're talking about free stuff, of course having bacon or sausage sandwiches for 4 people would be less. My point being, if you take your kids out and they pick a main meal and you all have a main meal and a dessert and a drink, and when I say drink, I'm not talking about the drink, the refillable that you can all share in the middle. They each had their own bottle of pop.
Sorry, the refillable you can all share.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been in Nando's, I've bought one refillable, we've all shared. This is life, Andre. It's life of having a big family.
Theft.
No, it's not theft. It's not theft.
It is theft.
We get 3 water glasses.
Stop.
And 1 refillable.
Right. What we want is
fine.
we want anyone from
Andre,
Nando's.
everybody does this. You're just the only weirdo who doesn't.
No. They've changed the glass sizes in Nando's, so you have a different size.
You do have a different size for tap water. I'm not saying fill up the, but you can.
are saying
no,
that.
I'm saying fill up the refillable. You buy 1 refillable, 1 refillable glass.
Yeah.
3 tap waters, so there's tap water on the table to drink should you be thirsty, and then you can share the refillable. There's nothing illegal about sharing the refillable.
No, the terms and conditions of Nando's
4
UK.
straws.
No, it's supposed to be one refillable per person. You know that.
I don't care that there's nothing wrong with doing that. If you need to save money and your kids want some pop,
it's like going shopping with Richard Madeley here, isn't it? It's an absolute disgrace. I'll tell you.
No, but I'm just saying it was £17 something, and I just thought that was for a meal out where you've not had to cook, and it felt like a meal out for the kids. Because honestly, unless you go to McDonald's, because in fairness, you can get 3 Happy Meals at a £5 or whatever, but unless you go to McDonald's, you're not going to.
But Danielle, can I tell you,
for less than 20 quid for 4 people.
When we're talking,
you're just not going to get it.
When we're talking about ripping off soda drinks from Nando's, lest we forget when we falsely claimed a pizza company was employing illegal labour and they phoned us up, and we claimed once that a bank was not an actual bank, and they phoned us up as well.
Okay, well in that case, what I meant was I got a refillable pop and everyone just had a little taste to see if they liked it.
Let me just tell you one thing. This is let me bring you all in on the joke here. There's something called TNS. It's a media monitoring service. That means that at any time, people from every company in the country, whether it be Ford, whether it be Lamborghini, whether it be Nando's.
We're going to have them on the. Stop saying it. Stop.
Nando's.
No, stop saying it. So you are determined to get me into trouble, aren't you?
What happens is these companies subscribe, and the people that listen send them an email saying, "Hey, Bob Jones on LBC mentioned your company." So if we just say the words Nando's Piri Piri, Nando's Piri Piri, that will flag up.
Yes. Can I just say, bacon and sausage sandwiches, this is a message back right in reply. Bacon and sausage sandwiches, Andrea says, take 5 minutes to make. I'm aware of, sausage doesn't.
Oh, that's incorrect.
Because if you cook your sausages for just 5 minutes, we'll all be in trouble.
No, the next line's incorrect.
The other one says tap water is free.
No, it's not.
You have to pay for your water. So get over yourself. Little bit aggressive. We're allowed to have a conversation now. Do you know what, Andrea from Coventry? It's okay to disagree. Your northern accent doesn't make you in touch.
Oh, dear.
No, but being poor maybe does.
And poverty's classically associated with people married to footballers. It's always been a struggle, hasn't it?
Hey, apparently, I was listening to this show earlier today that said that if you'd not gone to university, you were working class. I've not been to university, I must be working class.
Yeah, because as I say, let's just repeat the comment again. Nothing says poverty like marrying a footballer. It's just one of those things. OK, back to Yasmin. Yasmin, come on.
Hiya, darling.
Hiya.
Right, first of all, Andre, you're going to get recognised for something. I did see a Maltese cross around it, but there is definitely...
It could be my air gunning. It could be my air gunning ability.
Well, the thing is, you're going to get recognised, and it's definitely something that's prestigious. And
Will just to be clear, will I get a seat in the House of Lords if Reform become the government? Look, that's the question we're all asking ourselves, isn't it?
Actually, I see you walking in a building with red chairs.
Oh, OK. Oh, that'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do.
You do go there sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's also true of Burger King, to be fair. But...
No, let me explain. I saw you walking in a building with red chairs, and it sounds weird, but you had a cloak on.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
There we go.
But I also get around that an eight.
Well, I'll
had a lot of eight.
No, classically, if you get in there, you put on the weight, don't you?
It's either within 8 months, 8 years. It's within that time frame. What they're giving me is, when's 2032? How many years is that? 7?
That's a long way off. 20, you're making me feel old already.
I also feel with you, when I'm looking at politics with you, I know it sounds crazy and I know your energy, but I feel as though you're going to be an advisor for somebody who's a bit struggling at the moment. And remember what I did say about Nigel, he won't be doing reform. You think he is, but he won't. He won't.
Now that's interesting.
Somebody's struggling at the moment. Tommy.
It's going to leave early.
That's okay.
Andre, the other thing they're saying, there's something about either a garage door or widening a door or something to do with that with regard to a property around you.
A garage?
Do you understand
I will tell you.
Go on.
Roman's estate agent in Windsor who haven't got my property ready when the garage is up for being shut. You know, it's a big yellow storage. Right, we have to empty that place, and they're saying, the property will be delayed. We haven't had it cleaned.
You're going to have to pay for another month's storage.
No, my mate Phil's kicking off.
She was right.
Andre,
Yasmin was right.
Over the next 2 weeks, do not get involved in Sundays. Don't get in between a couple fighting.
No, but I think, Yasmin, that's just good advice for life.
Yeah, but this is important because Andre
never get involved in a couple fighting.
Play the devil's advocate.
No.
And this will not go well for him. So keep out of trouble.
He can't keep out of trouble.
Get rid of the broken cabinet. There's a broken cabinet somewhere. Get rid of it.
There is a broken cabinet. It's led by Keir Starmer. We need to go. Hey! There we go.
That was good.
Anyway, there's a broken cabinet, yeah. Anyway, he's leaving, Keir Starmer, and Lamb is resigning. Lamb is really resigning. That's going to be massive. The other thing around you, I can see stray cats, so you're going to connect with some stray cats. Right, you're going to a special church.
Who's connecting with stray cats? Him? He doesn't like animals.
I do. I go to the abattoir regularly. Fried or boiled.
I can see a stray pussy around him.
A stray pussy? Yeah, well...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's been a few, if I'm being honest. Feral as well. And strangely scratchy. But anyway, okay. Yasmin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Yasmin.
By the way, she's
love you.
I know. She's furious.
Andrea's getting really, really upset. She says, I am 63 and retired and not cash-strapped yet. I didn't suggest you were. I know more about broke people than you do.
All right, great.
Okay?
Great.
So take that. And then your awful defence is laughing like I just laugh because it's better than crying. It's horrible. I'm horrible. That's
look, just because you're from Coventry doesn't mean that you're necessarily living in Coventry.
Is there an IKEA in Coventry?
She's got a problem with that IKEA.
Maybe that's the problem.
No, she was furious about the theft from Nando's.
She did not even mention that.
Nando's.
Don't get started there.
It'll be flagging up.
I think Andrea would have agreed with the sharing of the Nando's.
No, hang on a second. This is done on YouTube, isn't it?
Don't laugh about
it. So this is on YouTube as well. TNS will be monitoring that. Nando's South Africa.
Stop
it. Grace is in London. Grace, you're on.
You're determined to get me into trouble. Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very blessed, thank you. How are you?
Good. What do you want to talk about?
Well, it's much more serious than the mood currently is, so I don't know.
That's fine, don't worry.
It's fine by me.
But there were lots of things about what David Starkey said that I thought were very interesting. Some things which I would not agree with, but there were some things that I thought were interesting points. I think he was saying, so far as I understood, that the idea of centres going outwards of love, that you love your family most and then the people near to you.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I think he was saying that that's not Christian.
Yes,
he did say that.
Yeah, he said you should love your neighbour the same as you love. Yeah,
and I would concur with him about that. The Bible does tell us that we should definitely be looking after our close family. That is very important, and Jesus tells off some people who aren't looking after their elderly parents. But aside from our immediate family, we should think of human beings as equal rather than thinking that people in our own nation should be loved more than people in another nation. We should be loving people everywhere. That's part of the point of the big parable of the Good Samaritan. And he mentioned that people don't believe in sin. I think he was saying people on the left don't believe in sin. But I think most people don't believe in sin here in Britain at the moment. Or don't
Ken
really
would
know
agree
what it
with
is,
you.
whether they're on the left or the right. I would certainly concur that it seems sometimes there are some people on the left. Sorry, my throat is really...
It's okay.
Apologies.
Take a minute, Grace. Have a cough.
There certainly are some people on the left who do seem to kind of reject the idea that there's human evil, but then they will go and accuse certain politicians that they don't like of being evil, essentially. But the point of sin, if one believes in it, and obviously people don't have to, but the idea is that we do things that are contrary to God's guidance. And we believe that God has really good guidance because he made us, so he knows best. But we all of us, to differing extents, do things that are contrary to his guidance. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the word sin, they think that it just means that Christians hate them and want them to burn in hell, and that's not what it means.
No.
We those of us who are Christians believe that all of us are sinners. Everyone is a sinner, but Jesus has offered to take that penalty for us, and each person decides whether or not they're going to turn to him. And then if we do turn to him, a lot of us find, and I have found, that it gradually changes the way that you think and behave, so you become a bit less sinful over time if you're choosing to follow him, because he kind of helps you with that. But
almost like a journey of like becoming better, isn't it? The only problem I have with that is the idea of a child being a sinner, only because if you think about the word, it is upsetting, and that's the bit that sits with me a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've got this kind of cultural connotation where people feel a certain way about it. But the really important part is that Jesus offers each person forgiveness. And all theologians that I've ever heard talk about this agree that you don't, judge and get angry with children.
Yes.
I think it is quite clear, actually. I remember myself, actually, when I was in year 2 doing something that was really terrible, and I knew I shouldn't do it, but I did it anyway. And I ended up falling over, and I literally have a scar to remind me of this bad thing.
As if God immediately punished you.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was, no, but I guess my point is that if I think about, I'm not going to think about what other children do necessarily, but thinking about my own life, I'm kind of aware that from a fairly early age I did some things I knew I shouldn't do.
Yes.
But nevertheless, each person is offered forgiveness, and so I think that it's something that we ought to maybe think about we're talking about big questions and you know, life or death questions.
Well, I think it's really open to interpretation, because just not to go too deep, Grace, but when my daughter died, I had been chosen. It's okay, don't worry, it's fine. I like to talk about her. It's fine. But when she died, I remember a lot of people, because just before she died, I'd turned to the church of my own accord, and I decided to get confirmed as an adult into the C of E faith. And I go to church, and I do love that part of my life, and I consider myself a Christian. And I remember people saying, how can you believe in God if he took your child? And what I started to realise, the more that you hear people say, God lets terrible things happen to people, blah, blah, blah. And I started to think, this impression of God that everybody appears to have, he sounds absolutely terrifying. And I know it's a bit cheesy, but you take you back to the Footprints poem of the idea that in your toughest times God was carrying you. I kind of saw it like, well, God's looking after my little girl. There's no God I'd like to think of who steals children from people or allows bad things to happen. But it just seemed odd that was people's interpretation of God. And then I started to think, God, this God you're thinking of sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, so many people make points like that and have questions like that, and quite often people have that objection when they aren't the person who's going through the difficult experience. Like, you know, you're the one who's bereaved. But yeah, I mean, the love that you have for your daughter, God created in the first place. So he wasn't just kind of spiting you.
And I can't live a life thinking I was somehow punished by him with him stealing away my child. That's just awful.
I think it sounds really trite, but I do really believe that God has very complicated reasons for things.
Yes.
And I think sometimes about the film Sliding Doors.
Yes.
And you can see how there are different courses of events that could have happened. And I think sometimes maybe if a person has their life shortened, maybe God was saving them from going through some suffering later on. Maybe God is going to reveal something to you or someone else who's bereaved in the time that you're processing your grief, and that will enable you to do something inspiring in the future. We just don't know. But we do believe that there's eternal life that will make this lifetime seem short.
Yeah.
And so you will see your daughter again and be with her eternally. But that's not to say that it's not just so... I don't know. I don't really have words.
I don't want to... Grace...
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Grace. I've really enjoyed your conversation, and I know it was a bit serious, but this is what's so lovely about this show. We do silly, we do serious, we do anything you want to talk about. If you want to give us a call, it's 0344 499 1000, but we do have to quickly go to a break.
So let's...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Danielle, this is Andre, and we've just spent the break talking about Andre's stomach.
No, rubbing it. Danielle
like
likes...
Buddha.
Yeah, she likes to rub my stomach, and sometimes she goes a bit lower.
No, shut up, you.
If I'm being honest. Can't do that anymore, not without the face of an adult.
No.
Thanks to Keir Starmer's adult entertainment ban. Okay, right. So let's go to Philippa in Poole in Dorset. Philippa, you're on Talk.
Hi, Andre. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Philippa.
What I wanted to talk about, or what I was thinking about, was what Andre was saying about white people being in the minority in the future. And it's quite scary to think that is a possibility in this country. And apart from we white Brits, having lots of sex and having lots of children to rectify the problem, what else can we do?
But without being funny, having lots of sex will not help in this age of contraception and abortion.
Oh, here we go.
But what can we actually do, us Indigenous white
Well,
Brits?
I'll tell you what we can do. Abolish the Human Rights Act so that people across the world no longer have a right to live in the United Kingdom. And then we just pick the people we want in. But this idea that your right to be protected from your government in Afghanistan supersedes our right to have a successful and vibrant economy is nonsense.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. I think I just feel a bit powerless with it all at the moment because, you watch everything that's going on the news, and I listen to you guys a lot on talkTV, and you feel as if the only thing you can actually do is talk about it. You can't really take any action to make any difference.
Yeah. I think it just, Philippa, it needs to be stripped right back, because I think that there's absolutely nothing in this country to encourage you having a family. I think, if anything, I find where I live, which is a nice area, most people say words like, we can only afford to have 2 children. They've obviously both got good jobs, and obviously that's a little dramatic because they probably could, but what they mean is we couldn't afford to have this lifestyle and have more than 2 children, or else you have to be super rich, then you seem to
or
see
super poor.
Or super poor. It seems that way to have a larger family, and it's funny.
Andrew
because,
will like that comment.
She'll love it. She's already madly in love with me. I better not laugh. Philippa, I think the sad thing is, I got an example of it. This happens to me all the time. So I have 4 children. I had 5 children, and now I have 4 children. And we're a family of 6. And whenever we turn up at any restaurant anywhere, or anything where, anything, booking hotel rooms is difficult. Everything is difficult.
Do you get?
Except when we went to Saudi, where it's embraced and celebrated. You have such a large family. How wonderful! We couldn't do enough for you. And I said, it's sad, but I literally went to a little local pub type place. It was actually what's now called a brewery. They made their own brew, and they were famous for food. And we looked on the social media. Oh, this looks good, and they just refused to serve us. They said we were too large a family. We hadn't pre-booked. They weren't interested, and we offered to sit apart. And then a couple walked in after us with 2 children. They seated them, even though they didn't have a booking. And then a couple and 3 walked in after that. So that's more than enough. And they also hadn't booked, and they were seated. And their excuse to us when we were like, what do you mean? They said, we don't have enough stock to... They basically just didn't want a large family sat in there. Yeah. They just didn't want it.
Do you get the problem with hotels where they go, we can give you connecting doors rooms, but we can't guarantee you'll be next door to each other until you get there?
I know.
Well, why would I want a connecting door bloody room?
Technically, you're going to have to sleep an adult in each room. So that night, you're not sleeping with your husband, which is fine. I'm not going to explode. But it's just a shame when you paid so much money. It's just a shame. Behave. Andrew will have me if I laugh again. It's just such a shame that you can't enjoy that together. Philippa, it's all set out.
Right, Philippa, they're not interested in family. This has been a sad bit.
They don't want us to have babies.
This has been a sad bit of the show, but to be fair, my food from Chicken Cottage is here. So why don't we go to a break, and then Danielle can go downstairs and go and get it for me. Back in a mo.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to Talk TV. I'm Danielle Nichols and I'm here on my own because Andre's gone down to get his... Is he done it all Uber Eats or Deliveroo or what? Do we know what he's got to do? We're going to find out. We're going to Zoom call him. Are we doing it now or are we going to go to Andrea first? All right, okay. I want to just say very quickly, my husband made the exact same joke that Andre made about exploding, so we'll not go there. That was sent on a text message. And my dad says, well, I say hello to Christine and her daughter Caroline, his new friends. Hello. Apparently, Andrea says, please stop saying I am angry. That's just defensive and a method of explaining me away. I'm not. You just seem to be, angry is maybe wrong. You seem to be getting upset. Maybe just listen, reflect, and digest the comments. No, Andrea, we're not going, look, I maybe hinted to this earlier, but we have found a map of Coventry, and on the map, as you can see, there's no IKEA. So it's at Wolverhampton, which I was pretty sure of because I pass it when I drive past it. So maybe that is why Andrea is not angry, but maybe a little upset that IKEA is too far away for her to just nip. Because if you add the petrol money into that, it does become a pricey affair. So we are sorry, and just for the future, Coventry, you might think about getting an IKEA because we've got one in Warrington and one in Ashton-under-Lyne. So we're probably hogging all the IKEAs in Manchester. You can have one of them if you want. We're going to go to the phone lines, or are we going to Andre on his Zoom? Oh, he's here. He's here.
Here we are.
We've got Andre on Zoom on Adam's phone. Hi, Andre. Okay. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, and I can confirm that the delivery driver is close to reception. So we're going to go out now, and we're going to have a conversation with him.
Do you know your code?
This is the worldwide exclusive of the first try of the chicken cottage piri piri. Hello, how are you, sir?
So if you're listening on the radio, Andre is down at reception.
You've got to wave at my friend.
Take it. Right, we've got the hi, delivery man. Can we see him? What's your name? Ask the delivery man. Be polite.
What's your name, sir? He says his name's 465.
Oh, okay.
His name's Mohammed. Here we go. Well done. Now, does it have the knife and fork in there as well?
So, Andre, instead of like listening to the evenings of conversations and phone calls, just couldn't stop banging on about how what's it called? Chicken cottage? I was going to say cottage chicken. I've got a new piri-piri.
It's a different type of chicken cottage to the one that I had this morning. It's a disgrace, but I'm just going to have to sit here and try it out, right?
This is your second one of the day.
Oh, this isn't as good, this one. Look.
Why?
Look at this. The chilli sauce isn't as good. What?
Have you already had this meal today?
Yeah, I had it last night and I had it today as well, yeah.
You might need to think about that, Andre, because that much cholesterol is not good for your gout, is it?
That looks beautiful, doesn't it? It hasn't come with a fork and knife, but what I will do is I will add the 2 extra sachets of sauce and bring it up to the studio right now for you to also consume it.
So we can see if it's as good as...
And here we are in...
Is it as good as... Look, here he is. Is it as good as, like, third time ordering it? Get upstairs. Get upstairs. We've got James on the phone in Leeds. Hi, James. You're through to talk. What do you want to talk about?
Hello.
Hello. James, you're through to talk. Yeah, we can hear you.
What happened to James Whale?
He's not very well. He's currently in a hospice. He has terminal cancer. And his wife, Nadine, is taking care of him.
Oh, dear.
I know. He's very loved. Is that all you wanted to say, James?
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I know. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been a fan of James Whale for a while? James, well, same name.
He used to be on in the 80s.
Yeah.
In Radio Air.
So you have listened to him for a long time, haven't you, James?
Yeah.
He's a good man. And he says he was very adamant to stress when he spoke earlier in his final podcast. He was adamant to stress that he isn't in any pain. Although he wanted to be at home, he's happy in the hospice. I think it's just, you know, he needed a lot of care at this point. And he is with his wife. And Nadine's looking after him. And he is very reflective at the moment over his life. And I think the fact that talkTV have been so open about this and willing to talk about it makes me feel a lot happier, because having lost my own daughter, I always felt like an alien, because no one wanted to talk about it. It was like, oh, let's not mention the elephant in the room. No one mentioned the fact that she's grieving, and people did cross the road, and not because they're bad people, but because they didn't really know what to say. And I completely understood that, but I remember thinking, as a society, I believed it came from the wars, when people lost an awful lot of relatives. I think there was a sense of community. However, there was that many people that were lost that I think that, I know I got this feeling off my granddad at the time of a bit like, why do you keep talking about it? Stop talking about it. I think it's because they had to there was so much death and they had to just get on with it. However, now I think that, you know, the world changes, people change, and unfortunately, I don't think there is the same sense of community anymore, which is good, because, you know, we don't want everybody being in the same boat that I was in. But I remember thinking it's good that we're talking about it, and I think that it's good that Talk are prepared to talk about James being ill, and that James wants to still be around. So yeah, sorry to break the news, James in Leeds, but yeah, he's very loved, and he's not in any pain. Thank you for calling. We've got Robert in Hertfordshire. Hi, Robert. You're through to talkTV. What do you want to talk about?
Hi, Danielle. Yeah, what it is, my cousin is one of Tommy Robinson's inner circle, but I'm not going to talk about Tommy Robinson. I'm going to talk about, there's a demonstration tomorrow at the Thistle Hotel in the Barbican, organised by my cousin. Now, this is done because of what the locals have put up with over the last couple of years. It's not done because of they're just following the trend of trying to shut the migrant hotels. No, there's been 41 arrests and 91 charges of a sexual nature, robbery, and they've just had enough. Now, the second part of what I phoned up for is, I was on Facebook. Jeremy Corbyn has advertised this tomorrow, and he's asking all these left-wingers to attend to stop the right wing. Now, these people are not right wing. These people are mums and dads, concerned mums and dads, and grandparents and aunts and uncles.
Yeah, well, I know at the Altrincham one there were a lot of women and young girls. There's a lot of women there, actually.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, what's going to happen, because it is my old, I've moved out as central London. They say it's the Barbican, but it's not really. It's sort of like City Road and Old Street. But it was my old manor till we moved out a couple of years ago. And it's a really, really nice manor. It's all social housing, all normal people. Now, Jeremy Corbyn is going to get his masked marauders to attend tomorrow. Now, his responsibility as an MP is to protect the public, surely.
Yeah. Look, I feel like I should share this because that's what I do when I'm on here. But I remember one of the first times that I came in to talk as a guest on James Wales' show. And I remember I'd prepaid for a parking space because I knew I was driving into London, and I kind of thought I had to be organised. As it turns out, there's places you can park late at night, it's fine. But I'd prepaid for this parking space. And it turns out it was right in front of a hotel that was full of asylum seekers and the such. And I remember I was dressed quite modestly because I wasn't in the clothes I would necessarily wear for the show. I just had a tracksuit on, and I really felt frightened and intimidated. And it wasn't like the problem that it is now. That was only a tiny, but it was right in the centre of London. I'd parked up, I'd got out my car, and it was outside a hotel, so I didn't expect there to be, you know, I hate to say this, but it looked like, you know, when you go to visit a hospital and people come outside to have a cigarette, and, you know, that kind of vibe. It was really odd. And I remember just feeling really intimidated and really frightened, because it felt like it was mainly men. It was mainly men, for whatever reason at that point. But, so, yeah, I can understand why people are upset. You can understand why people are protesting. And let me just say, just to be really clear, very peaceful protesting, non-violent, which is very important. I know people think it's not making a difference, but I don't agree with that. I think it does make a difference. I think the fact they're not talking about it means that it actually is making a difference. So thank you very much. That's Robert in Hertfordshire, just telling us about the protest that's coming up tomorrow. Keep your calls coming in. 0344 499 1000. That's 0344 499 1000. Whatever you want to talk about. Andre's on his way back up with his chicken, so we'll give that a go. But before that, we've got more stories coming up. We've got more of your phone calls, and we're here with you for another good hour.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
He's back with his chicken.
I'm back with the chicken. Right, should we examine the chicken?
Oh, it smells interesting.
Look at that. Look at that. Now, what we need to do is put the extra...
Do you know what? If Megan was here, she'd have took that out of that box.
Extra.
She'd have put it on a beautiful plate with a flower on it.
The extra hot sauce.
Oh, no, you're not putting more on. Oh, my.
Right, now...
Look, you're going to be making smells in my car.
You're the one eating it. You're the one eating it. You're going to try it live on that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you're trying it live.
That's going to blow my head off.
Well, blow your head off, it'll be fine. Right, there we go. Have we mixed it enough, do we reckon? Have a look at that. Now, look, Daniel.
I'd have gone for a breaded chicken, Andre, I'm not going to lie.
What you want is just that small piece there. There we go. Now, that is extra hot sauce with double extra sauce.
Oh, I can't even know what's gone by him. Oh, my God, no. Oh, I'm boiling.
It is quite... Oh. That is gone. That is... Do you know...
Oh, my God. Andre, That's going to hurt coming back out.
Oh, I know it will be the ankle grip of that one.
Oh, no, you can't eat that.
That is lovely.
No, that's still burning.
That is good.
I've spat it out. It's...
That is good, that.
No.
That is...
No.
That is the taste of... well, I don't know
You're going to ruin your bowels with that.
No, it'll just clear me all out. It'll be perfect.
Oh, how are you not sweating?
Oh, that's good.
Oh, and it's stuck in that tooth that gets meat stuck in it now.
Well,
thanks for that.
Don't worry, I'll use a
Thanks
toothpick.
for that. I've got a toothpick in my bag.
So I will say to you one thing. There was a larger quantity from the one I had this morning, if I'll be honest.
What, that's larger?
No, this one's smaller.
How much of this chicken have you ate?
This is the third one I've had.
You give up drink.
In the past 24 hours.
You're going to get fat. You've got to chill out. You've got to eat healthy things.
Well, this is healthy. As you said, it's good for your guts.
Do you know what? I've got to read this out because Andrea has complimented me. But apparently, she did say the joke's on me because it turns out that there was an IKEA in Coventry, but it shut because no one went to it. I don't know if I believe that.
No.
However, she's put, Danielle, now that migrant comment, I could not agree with you many more, so well done at last. Thank you.
No.
Joe, seriously, thank you. Thank you. We need milk, really.
No, you'll be all right now. You'll be all right. Georgina is in London. Georgina, you're on talk.
Good morning.
Good morning, Georgina.
I told you she'd recover. Look, she's fine now.
No,
I can't believe that you're eating that. That looks like something that should be put straight in the bin. Andre, you need some proper home cooking, sweetheart. This is not healthy.
Do you know what? She's absolutely 100%
No,
right.
this is good quality. This is home cooked.
No, that's disgusting.
That Mr. Mohammed.
Do you know
he was probably the one who
I've got British cherries waiting for me.
Oh,
when
I bet you have. I bet you have.
I like them from posh ones from Marks and Spencer's, but they're nice. I'll get in trouble for that now, won't I?
Well, you have.
I don't think there was enough sauce on that, if I'm being honest.
I'm going to get in trouble now for picking posh British cherries.
Right.
I was proud they were British.
Am I allowed to say what I've rang up to say?
No.
Before I go to sleep? No.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. Go on.
Oh,
don't
right.
listen
I'm just
to
putting
him.
this extra sauce on.
Oh, no, you don't need any more sauce on that. Georgina, don't listen to him. You can talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay, I'm just ringing up regarding our culture, to be honest with you. I'm really worried about the dilution of our British culture. I'm a very patriotic older lady. I'm very proud of my flag. I'm very proud of our veterans and what they've done for our country. I'm also very, very proud of the people, the British people within our country, the indigenous population. And I'm talking, I'm talking Asian, I'm talking black people, I'm talking Chinese, whatever the ethnicity, whatever their religion, if they are born in Britain and they are British, then, they are my kith and kin. But what I'm really worried about is the dilution because of illegal migration. And I feel that this government is trying, with this cultural cohesion, to make a uni-culture. Like in the EU, they have one currency. I think they want one culture over the whole of the EU. And this, to me, is totally ridiculous because each country has its own culture.
What makes you think that they want one culture?
Because they're diluting the British culture so much, and we are not allowed to be proud of the culture that we have. It's almost like being British now.
But Georgina,
Georgina,
what about the idea that actually they're not trying to create one culture, they're trying to create 50 different million cultures in Britain, all of which compete against each other because this divide and conquer thing? Because when I see cultural enrichment in the UK, I don't see. Well, hang on a second. I don't see one person from Afghanistan on every street. I see a little Afghan tribal area being developed, or a Pakistani.
Am I allowed to be a little controversial here and say?
Well, I mean, I'm having my dinner on TV, so I wouldn't worry too much.
But I think that one of the things that makes us wonderful, which is that we're very accepting and we're very allowing of things. No, is making is working against us, because what I personally see from seeing different cultures around the world is that there are a lot of countries that don't really allow people to be who they want to be. It's like, you live in this country and these are the rules. And I wonder if, because those are the kind of people that are coming over here, if they're kind of, that's all they've ever known. Do you understand what I mean?
Daniela, we are accepting people from cultures that are polar opposites.
Yes.
To what we are.
To what we... Yeah.
Totally different cultures, my darling.
And it's not their fault. It's not like you want to blame.
But what about
because they only know that because that's...
But what about people who say that they ought to have the right to come to Britain in order to smash Britain because they don't like Britain's liberal culture? But they will say, no, it's our liberal right in this society to say that you're all evil.
Please don't start the liberalism with me because I will have to put the phone down. Seriously.
Go for it, Georgina. Go for it.
As if I agreed with that.
At the end of the day,
go for it.
There's a very fine line between being accepting of different cultures and being purely stupidity.
Yes.
Now, we have got to the side now where we have got to make a stand and say, enough is enough.
That's how I feel.
This has gone beyond the pale.
Yeah.
Our women and our children
are not safe.
Put at risk every day because, as Daniela said, and quite rightly so, these fighting age males and sexually active males, might I add, are coming over to our country having no idea of either our laws or our culture.
And it must be, like, bizarre for them, because I get it, because they must see the way that we dress and the way that we women have a voice, and it must be bizarre for them. But the point is that enough is enough now.
Darling, I am making no excuses for these people.
No, we're aware of that.
They come to our country and they have got to abide by our laws and our rules.
But they're not even coming to this country legally, so they've already not abided by the laws before they've even got
But here's my question about... Here's my question.
As soon as they land on our
they
are breaking the law.
That's how I feel.
But here's my point about all of it. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know, if you wear a burqa around in Britain, you will look ridiculous. It's an item that was designed for countries with sandstorms. But you have the right to wear the burqa, but you don't have the right to say you look ridiculous. That is obnoxious.
Andre, you are absolutely correct. But also the burqa, that is like back in the old ages when women used to wear hair shirts as a form of penance. Wearing a burqa in a very hot country, remember, a burqa is black.
Yes,
and that
it is so...
the sun.
Yes.
You will cook in that.
Yeah.
That is a penance.
And you're wearing it now in a country where there's massive... I know it sounds ridiculous, but the point is, we don't have a lot of sunshine. Vitamin D levels are already a problem for people who have darker skin. Like, it just is slightly ridiculous. It's slightly ridiculous.
Well, it is to Islam. It is to Islam what a raincoat is to Christianity. That is to say, there are some Christian countries where it's custom to wear a raincoat. There is nothing in any of the Islamic religious teachings saying you must wear a burqa.
No.
It's a statement, in my view, if you are not from Saudi Arabia. If you are from Saudi Arabia, I think it makes some sense because it's your national dress. If you're not from Saudi Arabia, it is sending out a message, I hate Britain and I believe that Britain should return to the Stone Age. The Middle Ages, rather.
I do agree with you there, Andre, 100%. But what I also wanted to say is the burqa is a full body and sometimes full facial, including hands, covering. This also is a great risk to our national security because you do not know who is under that.
Now, can I go the other way, Georgina? Because here is my other side to it. So you've heard my opinion saying it's ridiculous, all that sort of thing. I do not believe that it's the government's role to tell you what to wear.
No.
So what do we do about that?
Well, hang on a minute.
As long as you can see your face, because we are supposed to... Yeah.
When young girls are being attacked, and it's said in court and has been said on numerous occasions...
Well, you're not allowed to go into a shop with your helmet on, are you, if you wear a bike helmet?
Absolutely not. No face coverings whatsoever. You're not allowed in a bank or in shops.
Yeah.
But also young girls who are going out, and they like to dress very summery, little dresses, little skirts, and they're not covering up from head to toe, and these girls are getting leered at and followed and chased, and they are being told to cover up. Now, I'm very sorry. This is England, and we dress in the way we want to dress. That is our prerogative to dress that way. We are not a Muslim country. We are a Christian country, and we are ruled over. Our sovereign is the head of the Church of England. So this is a Christian country, despite what anyone might like to think. So we have got to keep our rules, our culture, our law, our flags. We have got to keep them at the very top of this pyramid. We cannot dilute it or have it any less than people want it, you know? And I'm very, very strong on my views about that.
See, I feel
really, Georgina? I didn't realise.
Georgina, I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today.
She's robust,
morning.
Isn't she?
She's fantastic.
If you got her down the pub, she'd be really kicking off.
Do you know what? We'd have a good chat, me and Georgina. It'd be good. No, I completely agree. It's not about race or skin colour. No. It's not about what religion. The truth is, like, I think it's really odd that I think it's great that we can all practice and we're all from different religions, we're all from different brackets. I think that's actually what makes Britain so wonderful.
But it
isn't. I think it's no, but I do.
No, it isn't.
I do think it is, because we are not like those other countries. I like living here. I like that there aren't all those rules.
Yeah, okay, but
do you understand?
But multiculturalism didn't win the Second World War. Multiculturalism.
No, but it's a nice thing. But it just seems that now that the Muslim religion trumps everything, but any other religion isn't given the same amount of respect, is it? And that's not fair.
What about
it's what we either are going to show that or we're not. Like, you can't choose.
What about the Manchester Sharia advisor that was advertised for the department on the Department for Work and Pensions website? That wasn't great, was it? But should we go to a break now? And when we come back, we'll talk to Mark in London.
And I'll get that chicken out my tooth.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to Talk TV. I'm Danielle, Talk Radio as well. I'm Danielle, this is Andre. We're here with you till 1 a.m.
And then 1 a.m.
I've got to do a couple of corrections. My husband said we did have 5 meals in IKEA. I got it wrong for 17 quid.
Oh, that was a fascinating detail. Well done.
We're back on IKEA.
Why have you got a hand? That's what you're going to have to do to your ankles tomorrow when you're on the toilet.
And hi to my Auntie Audrey who's watching and enjoying.
Hello, Auntie Audrey. How's she? Is that the... No,
and
that
I
was
think my
Andrew.
mum's watching as well. Hi,
Mum. OK, so somebody has said that the upholstery in your car may be damaged later by me.
If you fart in my car,
I'm not going
I
to.
swear.
I've got an iron constitution when it comes to various types of spices and curries and things like that.
Have you?
No,
to be fair, we've worked together and I've never noticed that you have farted, so I'll give you that.
Correct. Right, also, can I tell you something else? I can eat... Oh, I'll tell you what I can eat. I once ate four Scotch bonnet chilies. You know, the Caribbean ones. Can I tell you what? I can eat probably about 10 rockets. Next week, should we eat some rockets live on air?
Let's not.
You know those little green ones?
I know what you mean. Oh, we've got a voicemail from Ray.
Come on, Ray.
Hi, this is Ray from Torquay. What a fantastic show. Just wanted to agree with what Danielle was saying. Only 2 weekends ago, we went to the Exeter IKEA. It was really enjoyable to wander around. We had no intention of buying any furniture. It was just good to mooch around. And we went and ate in their restaurant. And similar to what Danielle said, we all had a main course and a pudding. There was 4 of us. And yeah, for under 30 quid, it was great.
See?
You know. So
thanks, Ray.
People do go and have a nice wander around IKEA and do enjoy their cheap food. So why that lady's getting angry with you, I will never know.
I don't know.
People choose to be offended and choose to be angry. But a day out at IKEA,
She likes
is a
me
great
now,
thing
though.
to do. Highly recommend.
She likes me now.
Well,
Ray.
no, you
You're
chose
all
to be angry about my piri-piri chicken cottage. It was not. There was nothing wrong with that. It wasn't as good. So what I did was last night when I was walking home from the show, I had one on.
I know this is your third of the day or something.
on Borough High Street. Then today when I was coming back into work.
Do you know what I think you'd like more than that after looking at that? It'd probably be better for you. The KFC rice box.
No.
Because it's still got a spice to it, but it's got a little bit of green stuff in it.
But the problem is it's an act of communism eating green food, isn't it? any sort of green food. Green food was intended for people like Jeremy Corbyn and Liberal Democrats and people like that. I don't need any of that in my life.
I'm going to say thank you to Neil in Belfast who said it's so glad that you're back, Danielle. You're gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you very
because
much.
you're gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Right, we're going to go for Mark in London. Mark, you are on talk.
Hello, Andre.
Hello.
Danielle. I want to completely agree.
Mark, why don't you mute your
you've
TV
got
or
to
radio?
Turn your telly down because we can hear it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
It's amazing how nobody remembers that because we've mentioned it once or twice. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree with Georgina that called before. But the reason I phoned up is 2 things. One, I've never known you, Andre, to be so quiet as when David Starkey was on.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because the honest reason.
Yeah.
Because every single time I interview him, he posts it on his channel, and they go, "Who are those 2 idiots? The fatter one's worse than the one that looks like Chewbacca, but they're awful.
Hang on a minute. Are you being bullied? Oh.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't want to get slagged off anymore.
I
want to get slagged off. They went,
right, that's strange. No, you're changing. Because you normally love getting slagged off.
The one with the bit... No, it's not.
You've changed since you're no longer a blonde.
What has happened is very simply this, right? I like intellectual people to think I'm quite clever, right?
You are clever.
And then when they go, the bearded one's the worst, but these are the worst to present on TV. That's what always gets said.
It's hurting you, isn't it?
Yes.
Now that is weird because I've never known you to ever care about what anybody thinks. In fact, I've known you to revel. You once showed off that you'd had death threats.
Yeah, but
that's
death threats. I mean, death threats are all right. Nobody cares about that, do they?
I do.
Nobody does care about that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I used to get. There was this stalker that started stalking me for a bit. I used to get merrily drunk and have long conversations with him.
Andre.
Bother me.
Andre, earlier on, I was just watching a bit of GB news, and they had someone up in Sunderland, and apparently Sunderland Council, in the year 24 to 25, I think it was, had given 893 social homes to migrants.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something like 70% of people who have social housing in London now were not born in the United Kingdom, and that's the annual basis.
I think it's
the figures are coming out now.
You've got servicemen living on the streets.
Nobody cares.
Servicemen.
Nobody cares.
And
they don't care.
And the other one was, that the one in Bolton that's going on with that company trying to kick out those ex-servicemen. They had the bloke stand up in the council and it was filmed, and he turned around and told them about, like, these ex-servicemen all ex-servicemen are going to be kicked out of this place. And the person turned to, does anyone second that? And not one person spoke up.
No, because what's happening is this is the willful. This is the Keir Starmer willful misunderstanding of things when he said. What we're going to do is we're going to shut down the hotels, the migrant hotels, and what we'll do is we'll put them into private housing instead. No. The point we're making is there's too many people over here and they should return to their country. Not I have a generic problem with the hotel.
Yeah.
The hotel is not the main issue.
And as well, I suppose you're coming from countries where they do tend to have families and larger families, so they're more likely to get a house.
Well, let's just be clear. Let's just remind us of the Afghan data leak. Let's just remind ourselves of that great story. A man emails out 100,000 the details of Afghan civil servants. Not soldiers, not all of them interpreters. Nobody notices for 18 months. Do you know how they notice 18 months later about this data breach? Somebody posts 6 names on Facebook. So the British consulate go round to the bloke in Afghanistan who's posted the 6 names and said, can you take those names down? And the guy says, yes, I will if you give me and my entire family asylum, which we grant. He's just a blackmailer, that's all. And then we decided that all 100,000 people on the list would now be brought back to the United Kingdom. And do you know why we decided to make it public? Because the Taliban has said they're not interested.
Right, if we form... like
Hoax.
Yeah, I hope Reform do get in. But for us to get in, Reform becomes part of the Parliament for this country. All these migrants, will they be still kicked out?
No. It'll be hard. Well, no, actually, I think what you probably can do, I think you'll be able to do 2 things. Point number 1, I think, well, maybe 3. Stiffen up the visa requirements, and that can be people who are reapplying now for things like work visas, as I spit out some chicken. We'll have to have that. But I think also the next thing is, I think it is legitimate to say, if you are foreign born and you are convicted of a crime, whatever that crime is, it's time to go home. And I think the other thing that we've got to say is this: the war is over. It's time to go home. This idea, I mean, let's be clear, right?
Yeah.
These people in Sudan, so there was a big battle in Sudan and British people were evacuated. Those people, effectively what they said was, well, we'd got our asylum, even though we thought we were going to be killed in Sudan. We came over to Britain, and when we got our passports to say we were British, then we realised Sudan was okay. That is bull. What they've done is this: they falsely claimed asylum in the UK. When they granted their citizenship, they moved back to Sudan, claimed the benefits in the United Kingdom, claimed the council house in the UK, rent the council house out, and take all the money. They're not fleeing Sudan, although they probably should have done, because there was ultimately a war there where they had to be evacuated. But this is what's happening. Do you know 70% of people granted asylum in the UK go on holiday in the country they said that was going to kill them within 18 months of getting the passport?
No.
Can you imagine how many of those? They're all of them are all cowards.
Well, they can monitor that. They can monitor that by looking. If you they do know where you're going. No,
they don't. Not when you leave the country. They don't check. Which was sorry, Mark, let me tell you, this was another big argument that Talk had with the Office of National Statistics. They monitor people coming in, they don't monitor people going out. Yeah. Do you know you don't go through the e-gate to go out? You just scan your watch card.
You do. You scan your passport to get...
Yeah, to go through security. It's not a passport control, it's security. Remember?
Yeah.
It's not a passport control.
Well, you do in other countries.
You do in other countries.
Yes.
Andre, what I say is, all those coming across in boats are all cowards, because for the simple reason, when Ukraine was invaded by Russia, all the women and children come to this country. All the men stayed there and fight. But yet they're all coming from...
Yeah, but nobody's... Yeah, but here's the stupidity between something like Keir Starmer and real life. Nobody in Albania genuinely believes that these men are deserting their wives and children ahead of an invasion. Nobody believes that. It's only the British immigration courts that accept arguments like that. Nobody believes it. It's nonsense. So nobody. It's
just about toughening up. It's just about enforcing the rules.
The reason I make that point is because nobody's going to go back to Pristina, Kosovo, and somebody go, hey, you claimed asylum in the UK, but you did a runner when there was a war on. Yeah, because they know there wasn't. They know what you're doing. They know you're just there to claim. And I will say something. This is going to be controversial, but if you look at someone like Grenfell Tower, the reason we found it impossible to work out who the victims were of Grenfell Tower was because of this subletting to illegal migrants, where we give somebody a social house. There's some more chicken going.
It's interesting you should say that, because my husband had a really fun row with our council because we're entitled to a larger black bin. By the way, we have to pay for it and not expect it for free. But with there being 6 people living in our house, we're entitled to it. And his first question was, well, how do we know that you're not an HMO? Well, because we fill in your electoral register. If you don't know, who does know?
Yeah, we've got family up in the northeast, up in Stockton-on-Tees. We went up to visit a family last year, and a place called Thornaby-on-Tees, and that. It was literally a no-go area. It was like driving into Beirut. I've never seen anything like it in the 40 years I've been going up there.
Well, with anything, let's say you're a developer, a property developer, you want to develop a house into flats or anything like that, you have to provide a certain amount of parking space. You have to jump through a million hoops to make sure, which, is what it is. That's how it works. But an HMO, fill it up to the rafters. Who cares? Have we got parking? No one cares. Then you think, well, you can see why it's all falling apart.
It's like community centre with prayer room, mosque. Anyway, thank you so much, Mark, in London. We'll be back just in a couple of moments.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to Talk TV. I'm Danielle. This is Andre.
Lovely.
This is the last half hour of the show, so if you want to have your say, give us a call, 0344 499 1000. And I just got to say a big hello to Nikki Brown, who put a lovely message saying, you are my 2 favourite presenters. So glad Danielle is back. Together, you're both the dream team, and you both make me belly laugh. He'll be bellying laughing on the way.
Here we go. Listen to this. Andre, I don't need a new sofa from IKEA, so just let Danielle know when she's welcome to join us for a large breakfast at Wetherspoons and stay for the following, can we say pee up? And now I've got to say to you, are you a big fan of Wetherspoons breakfast?
Yes. I like Wetherspoons.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's affordable, isn't it? You can get drunk without the guilt.
What annoyed me about Wetherspoons the other day, I went to one in Wigan, right?
Oh,
and I ordered the large breakfast, but I thought I'm going to have extra sausages, extra bacon, extra hash browns, and a bowl of chips. And I realised
greedy.
And I realised it would have been cheaper to have got 2 breakfasts.
Yeah.
And just consumed the lot.
Yeah, it would have done.
And there would have been a lot more food, though I probably didn't need it.
I'd have figured that out.
Yeah, you'd have worked out, wouldn't you?
I would have worked that out.
Could you
I'd
have
have said we'll have 2 breakfasts.
Could you gone by the calories?
What?
Gone by the calories, you could have worked out by doing the calories on each item, which was the largest number.
I don't do the calorie count.
Don't
I've
you?
never done that. No,
No, I never do either.
It seems
Does that
bizarre.
surprise you? Can you imagine? How many No, I'll tell you my best story that ever happened in a place. It was
I'll be the judge of that. Go on.
The Duke of Wellington next to Waterloo Station. This American lady, I won't do the accent, came in. She said, "Hello, do you do gluten-free buns?" And the bloke went, "Let me just look." And he went to the back and he went, "I'm really sorry, we've run out." And she went, "Oh, never mind, I'll have a normal hamburger." He said, "I'm sorry, I can't sell that to you."
Because you've just
And
told
she
me.
said,
Yeah, do you not
"What?"
know that?
And she said, "Why?" And he went, "Because you've just told me you're gluten-free." And she went, "I'm not gluten-free." And he went, "Well, you just told me you are." And she went, "No, but I'm not. I just would have had that if you had it."
Yeah.
He said, "No, I can't sell you the bun.
Do you know
it's
what?
now illegal for me
My
to sell."
friend has a gluten intolerance or something like that, and they came over to the table like they do as the any allergies, and she went, "Shh," like this. And afterwards I said, "Why didn't you just say that you..." She went, "Oh no, if you mention it, that's it then, they won't serve you anything." And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'll make my own choices. But yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Ken is in London. Ken, you're on talk.
Good morning, Andre and Danielle.
Good morning, Ken.
I was very sad to hear James Whale speak it earlier.
Yes.
Very sad. It just sounded like a man with no hope, sadly. Very sad.
He sounded very poorly.
Very sad, because he possibly, very possibly for James, he's approaching the most important day in his life, which is our day we die. The day we die is the most important.
Just want to say, though, he isn't in any pain, and he is happy where he is in the hospice. So just to say that.
That was the sad part of it for me, Danielle. He's drugged up. He doesn't really understand what's happening. Possibly. Maybe he does. Hopefully he does. But listen, I'd like to just remind everybody here that we're all going to die one day.
Yes.
This is a very important issue, and very few people speak about it. Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. He died in our place. He took our punishment. He loves us. He offers everyone forgiveness. The condition is to believe who he is, God manifest in the flesh, to believe he died for our sins, and to believe he rose from the dead bodily. That's the conditions. It has to be sincere. So if James is listening, James, this could be your last opportunity. James, I love you. I'm speaking with love, not judgment towards anybody. But everybody who's listening here, one day you and I will die. And I've been through the valley of the shadow of death 25 years ago. It's an awesome experience.
Can I just say, though, in James' defence, I know this is said with love, however, I do know that James is not religious, so...
Oh, I thought he was. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
James is not the least bit interested in Jesus Christ. I spoke to James for approximately 27 years in Ash. And over those 27 years, James has continually mocked Jesus Christ. But the good thing is, at the end of his life, God has given him 2 years to think about this seriously. God is merciful. We're all sinners. We all need forgiveness. God hasn't taken him suddenly. God has given him plenty time to ponder his eternal destiny. So, James, if you're listening, my dear friend, God loves you, James. Don't go to hell, James. Jesus died for our sins.
Okay, we'll leave it there. I will say one thing, though. Thank you so much to all the messages of support. And one thing I will say on behalf of this team, and it's all of our team, that obviously with James away, it's difficult, isn't it, stepping into the breach when people miss James and they're worried about him in hospital. Everyone has been lovely, haven't they? They really have been. Because obviously, at the end of the day, you know, it's not as good without him, but, you know, I think it's good that everyone has been supportive. Now, listen, the podcast that James made, which he says will be the last one, I'm still hoping for a miracle, I'll be honest. I don't believe one will come, but I'm still hoping for a miracle. But why don't we play that podcast, or rather a little part of it? It's actually available. It's available on his Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you go to his Twitter, which will give the details of that in a minute.
Is it Tales of the Whales? Is that right?
But here's his last podcast.
I'm in the hospice, and I probably won't be here next week, but I'm fine. I've got so many drugs in me, I can't feel a thing. What I wanted to say really was, a lot of people get very upset when someone is going to die. I'm the person who's going to die, and I'm quite relaxed about it, aren't I?
You have come to terms with it brilliantly.
You find it more difficult?
I do find it quite difficult, and the hardest bit is when people are sending you such lovely messages, you know, some voice notes and little messages saying how important you've been in their lives and everything, and it's just thank you for those messages. It's really quite moving.
Well, we end up crying quite a lot.
They make us cry, but in a good way.
Yeah, I have no pain from this voice. It just won't work.
And it's such a shame for you, because obviously your voice is your thing.
Yeah, but the sun is shining, and I'm kind of going through my life, if you like, and I'm very upset and worried about Nadine.
Oh, don't worry about me. We've been having some lovely time reminiscing about all the lovely things we've done, haven't we?
We've had a good time together, haven't we?
The best.
I love you.
I love you too. Shall we sign off on the podcast now?
Thank you for being a listener. I hope it helps in some way. And who knows what's next. So I can only say au revoir.
Yes, that's very good. Au revoir, not goodbye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, Who could not have been moved by that? I mean, James Whale is an absolute star. We're proud to have helped out a little bit on his shows over the years. I mean, I really didn't know him that well, and nonetheless he asked me to fill in when he wasn't around, which was slightly odd. But then again, as I always say, I did nominate him for an MBE and he got it. So I mean, I think he was quite pleased out of the deal. Also, I'd tell you the other thing about him, and I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of days, but the one thing I ensured, you know, he's got 2 sons, and the king only gave him 1 medal. We got the second medal.
Yay.
So there's 2, so both the sons can inherit a medal, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Cindy is in Michigan. Howdy doody, Cindy.
Hello,
Cindy.
I've missed you. I want to say thanks to you. I'm getting a lot of good things at Shein.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes. And I also want to say something really important.
I'm not getting sponsored, by the way, for any of these recommendations.
Not being sponsored.
Sponsored by Temu for a toothpick that doesn't work.
Right. They're economical and they have some good stuff.
They do.
Okay?
What is Shine?
Yes. Shein, Shine, whatever.
Well, I don't know what it is. So
I call it Shein.
Well, I don't know what it is. No.
Oh, it's like cheap clothing. It's cheap clothing.
I used to call it's just cheapclothing.com. There you go. Yeah, and so because we're Daniel, we're not getting a sponsor out of this.
Yeah.
Well, why are we naming them anyway? I want to say something really important, and you know, there's somebody that I won't name who's been close to the valley of death. Okay, we got it already. You've said it a million times, but I myself have been at the valley of death twice. It doesn't make me better. Once I had to have an emergency liver transplant. Thankfully, they found a donor. Second time was 2 years ago. My liver and my kidneys were both failing, and I had pneumonia. But I pulled out of it, okay?
Right.
And let me throw in one more thing while I'm at it, because I want to tell Danielle how I relate to you so passionately. I had a baby in utero at 5 months 1 week, and I had to deliver her knowing she was going to die because she wasn't viable. You know, you have to 2 more weeks and she would have been viable.
Yeah.
So I relate to you, but I don't like it. And I know everybody's entitled to their own opinions and stuff, and I understand that, and I try to respect it, but I don't like it. Look, and this is just my own personal point of view, is that God sees your heart, and James Whale is a good man.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just don't like it when I hear like somebody insinuating, you know, what's going to happen to him on the other side, because we don't know. We do not know. And I like to think, and I don't know, who am I, right? I'm nothing. But I like to think that God sees your heart. Yeah. And for all the people that Mr. James Whale has touched, including my life.
Yep.
Well,
I completely agree.
I'll tell you what.
There, and I'll leave it at that.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I've still got my fingers crossed. Crossed. So,
and so do I, dude. So do I.
All right.
We all do.
And I get a bit like Cindy. Like he's a good man. And when someone implies otherwise,
but there's always going to be people with different opinions.
I know.
Tiger, and that's true, and I respect that. But anyway, so I've been getting my clothes at Shein. I've been.
So tell us about Shein.
No, we're not promoting them.
No, you've just hit the microphone, professional broadcaster. Slap the mic.
Cheapclothing.com. They have sexy stuff.
Oh.
And they have, like, you know that, Danielle, you wear it all the time. and you know what? So do I.
Okay, so now listen, we can't do a whole segment on this thing and not talk about it. If you're going to go, I wear it and you wear it, what is it?
One more thing. Shout out to Joe, your lovely coworker. I want to tell you.
Employee.
He is lovely.
Employee.
He is lovely.
No, employee.
Big shout out to Joe in the gallery.
No, not co-worker.
And I bet you he's hot.
Not
the gallery. I've got my favourite gallery in at the moment. I'm allowed to say that.
Not co-worker. Not co-worker. Employee. Not co-worker. Employee.
Adam, Mark, Chuck, and Joe.
Let's be very
Dream
clear.
team. Dream team.
Excuse moi.
Cindy's got a crush.
Yeah, but it's great. It's great.
He's very good looking as well, Cindy.
Together. It's good. I bet.
God, here
But
we
it's
go.
great to see-
Well done, Cindy.
Okay, we've managed to annoy the hell out of Andre,
just say,
but
Joe,
thank you, Cindy.
Joe, don't worry. Or if you want a hormonal woman, then look, you've got the full, as many as you want.
Me and Cindy. We've got a
menopausal
voicemail.
rather than hormonal. Menopause. If you want,
Bye, Cindy. Thank you. Oh, this is Hope. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Hi, it's Hope from Florida. Danielle, I finally started on your parcel on Wednesday, aka my birthday, and I'll be sending it off very soon. I just need to know, what is your favorite fruit? Because I want to make you something with that.
Cherries.
Esrog.
No, I love cherries.
Esrog. Esrog. Come on.
My phone, I've got cherries on my phone.
No, Esrog.
What's an S-rog?
Esrog. Right, basically, the rabbis of Jerusalem.
I used to have a cherry
The
necklace.
rabbis of Jerusalem have managed to persuade Jews around the world once a year to eat this fruit that only they grow, which is 30 quid per fruit, and it's basically like a not very good lemon.
Oh. And how do you eat it? Do you eat it?
Well, I presume sparingly. Is how you
yeah,
eat it.
it's not a very good lemon. We've got Karen on the line in Sterling. Hello, Karen. You're on to go on.
Jewish members of staff were pleased that I'd given that reference, and then when I completely trashed the gang, they got angry. Okay, sorry, Karen, you're on talk.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Andre. Hi.
Hi. It's Danielle. Don't worry about it. And Sterling is lovely. Sterling.
He's a brilliant. Listen, I was last night. There was a wife moan saying she didn't like Daniel's, Andre's hair colour. Well, I actually got used to it, and I think he suits it.
Do you know what? It's gone. I've just said this to him when I first arrived.
Touch my head.
It's not as dark. There's a slight red to it now, and I like it better. I think it looks better now. Now it's not quite as dark as it was initially.
I was shocked by the darkness.
That's right.
Looks nice. It's grown on me.
I just want to thank you, Andre, for taking over James's place. And can I send my love out to all his family? Because, Kim, what? See, when God made that man, he broke the mould.
He did. That's for sure. That is for sure, Karen.
Aye. And by the way, this country is fucked.
Karen, don't mince your words.
That is. Can I just tell you? No, stop for a second.
This is as fun as the time when that woman said, "Do you think Nigel Farage is a?"
That's got to be clipped and sent to James Well's bed, because we don't think he's around at the moment. Because it started. It just went in a direction I wasn't expecting it to go. They broke the mould when they had James Wheel, and I will regret the fact he was so ill towards the end. The country's fucked though, isn't it? We're all going to die, Mr. Mannering. We're all going to die.
But I want to say to you, Andre, you've got such a baby face.
He has got a baby face.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I have now. I've given up the drink.
You're looking good. Your skin's looking good. Except you're eating that dirty chicken, but yeah.
It's not dirty.
Well, but it's very spicy.
He's like my boy. He loves stuff in his face.
Yeah.
No, that was... No, can I be honest with you? My entire metabolism's changed. Because I used to drink like 10 pints a day and like I could drink a bottle of vodka and 3 bottles of wine without any difficulty.
No, you couldn't. You didn't drink a bottle of vodka.
I could drink
maybe
a
a
bottle
little one.
No, my boy's working like in terrible conditions all the time, and even seeing the winter, it's terrible. He's got to go with a chainsaw and...
I mean, this is just a noise, isn't it? What's going on here?
Say something about the winter.
Right, sorry. Can you just do it again, please?
Go again, Karen.
Have another go.
She's laughing.
Have another go. Have another go.
Listen, Andre, will you pass my my best wishes on to James.
No, can I tell you something? We're going to do better than that. We're going to clip what you've just said, because I have to say, of all of the sad, of all the upbeats, of all of the tributes to James tonight, yours was by far and away the effing strangest, without any doubt. Without any doubt.
Thanks, Andre. And by the way, I love your hairdo.
Thank you so much. But then again, to be fair, Scottish do like ginger people.
Yeah, and there's loads of ginger people in Scotland as well.
Do you remember?
I remember going to a play group with my kids. So both my boys were born in Livingston, and we lived in, what's it called? Cumbernauld.
I don't think you're ginger.
You don't think it's ginger, he's a bit ginger.
I'll tell you, do you remember what Frankie Boyle said? Frankie Boyle said when we're fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, he said, there's now a recruitment campaign for more soldiers from Scotland. He said, exactly what you need when you're losing a war in the desert, 50,000 extra ginger people. Mind you, I'll tell you the other thing that Frankie Boyle said, which I thought was brilliant. Do you remember that awful terror attack at Glasgow Airport, where a guy tried to drive a car that was on fire into the terminal? Yeah. And he said the naivety of Al Qaeda for saying that they wanted to stop people. They wanted what was he exactly said? He said, imagine them believing that you would stop people getting hideously burnt by preventing them going to Benidorm from Scotland.
Oh, no, I can't. No mind of that thing, but what's the comedian?
No, we've lost you again. Thanks, Karen. Paul is in Wolverhampton.
Paul in Wolverhampton, where there is an IKEA. Hi, Paul.
Let's stop it about IKEA, Nando's.
Piri. Refreshing to have you guys back. Along with Petrioskin, you are my favourite by far.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Right.
Are you Tristan from Southend pretending to be somebody else?
No, I'm not.
No, it's Paul. I remember Paul.
Oh, yeah,
you've got a short memory. Go on, Paul.
Anyway,
Saddled with booze.
Start with the good stuff. All I'm going to say, James Whale, a stalwart, God-fearing, truthful pioneer for this country, and God bless him, because I think that guy is the sort of person that should have been in politics and running this bloody country, because he is British through and through.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. No more.
I've often thought that one of the things that he was. I mean, James and I are not friends, and I'm not saying we dislike each other. That would be silly. But we don't know each other that well because obviously I came in right at the end. But I think the reason that he was interested in what I did was because of the fact that I worked at the House of Commons and was involved in politics. Definitely when he interviewed Farage, he said he regretted not running as an MP.
Yeah, he'd have been good at that.
I think he didn't run as Mayor of London because he would have lost. Yeah. But I think he won.
This is the bad stuff, right? I'm losing my mum day by day. You can imagine what she's got. I've just come home from looking after her. She's got dementia really bad. And I've also got another friend who's got it and cancer, and I've also lost my best friend. And on top of that, I've just changed my job and I'm looking after autistic children. So I'm seeing everything in front of me, right? So I went from working in beauty and cosmetics and glamour to being in real life. Anyway, cut long story short. So the question actually isn't for you. I'd like to pose this question to Ken. What do you think he thinks God thinks of him when he's slagging off people like Ozzy Osbourne, who've only been dead a couple of days, when he's slagging off gay people like me, which I don't really care because I don't give a damn what he thinks? How does he think he feels? Because God supposedly
loves everybody.
Exactly. Thank you, Daniel. You've just answered my question. I'd like to put that to him.
That's what I always think.
Paul, can I offer a defence of Ken? So effectively, I was quite confused by him to start with until I actually met him in person. So basically, you often see him with the sandwich board out and about saying Jesus saves you and whatever. It's interesting because he's not actually intending to have a go at people. What he's doing is he's encouraging people to repent to Jesus. And I know it sounds weird, but he doesn't shout abuse at people. You know how you see those nutters with the... So like when he was... Well, he did shout abuse at Mick Lynch, but it's because he believed that Mick Lynch was following Satan. But... the thing is about him, I think sometimes because the gruff accent, it can come across as if he's slagging people off. But actually, all he's saying is, oh, please, I hope because I quite like you, or rather I love you, that you will do X, Y, Z. So I mean, I think the thing is, when I met him outside, he was
Ken, isn't it? It's
yeah.
very niche.
I mean, look, he's a religious fundamentalist.
Yes.
Right, but I don't think he's a bad person.
No.
Hello, Ken, by the way.
I don't know. I beg to differ because it always seems to be every time he's on, he's saying the same thing. The thing is, I know a lot of gay people and a lot of people of different cultures and everything, and they're all nice, decent people. It seems to me as though he's thinking about what goes on behind the bedroom doors. We all know what goes on behind bedroom doors, but
I
what
don't.
goes on, take the notice. We don't care. We're not interested. It's what you are as a
yeah, but I don't
person.
think. But is he interested, or is he just saying the Bible says repent and then you'll be fine? I mean, that is basically what he's saying, isn't it? Repent and embrace Jesus, and it's all good to go.
Yeah. But, you know,
I mean, actually, to be fair, my criticism of Ken would be when we were talking about what Hamas did, he said something that Christians quite often say, which is we're all sinners and all sin is a barrier between you and God. Honestly, I believe it's worse to have taken hostages like Hamas did and murdered people than it is to have shoplifted when you're 18, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There's ways and means. It's what you are as a person, and how, you know, I've always had a motto in my life: if you can't help others in life, then don't hurt them.
Yes.
That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
Be a good
Okay,
person.
thank you so much, Paul. So Danielle, are you looking forward to the drive home? No, don't laugh.
Do you know what? Though I am gonna.
For those